Welcome, everyone, to the Islanders and Never Say Die podcast. I'm your host, TJ, and with me, again, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the grumpy old man. They say there's no shame in this game because he's always the same.
That's me.
Now, Grump, tell me why we're running late today. What the heck? We didn't start at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. What's your problem, Grump? What's going on?
As always, whenever there's something when we're late, it's because of TJ. Today, he was playing around with the lighting. I don't know. I have an overhead light in the room that I sit in. TJ's got all these things aimed at him. I mean, just get yourself an overhead light. It lights up the whole room. I don't know. And then they didn't have it on. I'm like, maybe you might have it put on your face. Well, no, because then it gets too hot. Well, you know what?
Hold on. That's not what I said. I wanted to make sure it lights the background as well, Grump. But that's not the reason we're running late, Grump. I thought you know the reason we're running late.
Yeah, you were running late, as usual.
No,
Why don't you tell us the real reason we're running late?
We have got the technology. Now we finally have the Rodecaster Pro, which will allow us to take in callers. Unfortunately, though, of course, the mic that links everything all together, I do not have the right plug-in. So it will be on Saturday, hopefully, that we'll be able to go ahead and take in callers. So the human cliffhanger continues.
Well, you know what? I'm not gonna bag on TJ too much. I mean, because seriously, he has a lot of irons in the fire right now, and he needs to slow down a little bit, just for his health, I feel.
Oh, thank you, Grump. Anyway, we were working also on the designs. People want to know about that. We've been working on the designs. There were creative lapses. Let's put it like that. I was trying to do the designs all on my own, and I'm not a very creative guy. Grumpy immediately shot it down. We had to get some help from Paige. So we're working still on the designs. But Grump did not like my prototype.
Well, I'm not the only one who didn't like your prototype. Don't blame it on me. I just didn't think it was a good look. I myself thought it just should have been for first shirt, should have been really simple. That's
no. We've got to make sure that we're giving the best quality, Grump. That being said,
hold on. If my picture's on it, it is best quality.
Oh, is that how it goes, huh?
It should be Grumpy's and then picture of me with my usual sneer and then Groupies underneath. I just think that's a good look for a first T-shirt.
Oh, God almighty. We had to make sure we came out with all the bells and whistles, Grump. I'm not going to put out some work half-assed. So we still have some work we're doing on that. But to give you guys an update.
Creative differences. It's creative differences.
That's why the podcast is separating and splitting, right?
I don't know.
Fair enough there, Grump. You're not even playing with it. What's wrong?
We're late. I hate being late.
So
it doesn't bother you, but I hate it.
Oh, goodness.
Grumpy's probably went and did something else today. He's like, oh, I guess, they're not having a podcast today.
No, we're having a podcast today. I was running a little late, though, Grump. But before we kick things off, talk a lot of Islanders news and updates. We got a sponsored read there from DraftKings, and it's everybody's favorite tournament of the year. Golfers are in Augusta, Georgia, to compete for the coveted jacket. And DraftKings, the leader. I'm sorry. Wow, it's been a long day at work there, lenders. The leader in one-day fantasy sports is putting you in the center of attention by giving you a shot to land in the green. This week, DraftKings is giving you a free shot at $1 million in top prizes. When you download and sign up using the code THPN, if you haven't tried it yet, DraftKings, this is the time. It's easy to play. Pick 6 golfers and stay under the salary cap. And submit your lineup before the tournament tees off early Thursday morning. Thursday morning. Oh, wow. Early Thursday morning. Then sit back and follow the action. The more red numbers you have on the leaderboard, the closer you'll be to winning some green. Rack up the points from pars, birdies, finishing position, and more. Even though you may not be able to hit the course with the pros, DraftKings is giving you the chance to scratch your competitive itch and reign supreme. Download the DraftKings app now and use the code THPN during sign-up. This week, DraftKings is putting you in the action with a free shot to win $1 million in top prizes. That is code THPN, and you can get a free shot at $1 million in top prizes, only at DraftKings.com. A minimum of $5 Deposit is required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Grump.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, who bets on golf though? Really, I don't. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard. I don't even know the golfers anymore. I mean, you know a couple of names, but I don't know.
Tiger Woods. That's the only one I know.
Well, he's not playing.
Well, I know he's got that. You saw the report came out. He was hitting like 84 to 87 on a 45-mile-an-hour road. Ooh.
He was driving a little quick. I mean, it doesn't mean I wish the guy was dead or had those compound fractures in his leg.
Oh, no.
A little strong. What are you glad that he got all banged up? Oh.
No, I'm not glad he's banged up. I was reading the comments.
I'm just so compassionate compared to you. Sickening.
You're compassionate. Tell me more, Grump. Now,
very compassionate.
Islanders played a complete game against the Washington Capitals. I mean, it wasn't an entertaining game, I'm sure, for most people. I'm sure were sweaty palmed, sitting on the edge of their seat the entire game. That being said, I think that was one of the best 60-minute efforts we've seen from this Islanders organization in quite some time this season. Again, I don't think we had one of those periods where I was just kind of scratching my head saying, where's the energy? Where's the effort? We didn't have any of those mental lapses for an entire period or even a 5 or 10-minute stretch like we've had throughout this season. I think it was a good, complete performance, Grump.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we did play a really good game for pretty much 60 minutes. I mean, I was a little bit disturbed. We had a lot of chances to score, and couldn't put the puck in the net. Josh Bailey, wide open shot. Komarov, wide open shot. How many posts? Eberle hits, I think, 3 posts. I mean, I thought we outplayed Washington for the most part. We took the 1-0 lead on a goal by Nelson. And, everyone said how great Varlamov played. I didn't really think he was that tested. I mean, I thought our team defense was outstanding yesterday. I mean, that's how I know Barry was pleasuring himself in the bathroom during intermissions. I
was about to say, do you think Barry's able to make it home before he had an orgasm of excitement due to the 1-0 style of the game where it was hard, tough nose hockey where they were fighting inch by inch, Grump? I don't even know if Barry was able to make it home before he let out maybe a yell of excitement.
Yeah, I mean, that's the type of game he wants to win. Was it exciting? No. But we got the job done, and we're tied for first place. I mean, what's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that.
Wow. Am I hearing that the Grump has nothing to complain about? I mean, how odd is this for you?
You know what? We're winning, and we played a really good game. The usual suspects do their usual things. I'm kind of over that now. Like I said, I don't expect Josh Bailey to score. I don't expect Kami, the lollipop, to score. I don't expect those guys to score, even when they have wide open chances like that. I mean, I thought Matt Barzal was excellent last night as well.
I think Varlamov stood on his head when he occasionally had to. I'm not saying it was like a performance where he had 5 or 6 snags that were unbelievable that nobody thought was going to come, where he was seeing the ball like a beach ball. I don't think we had anything like that last night. Albeit, though, Grump, I thought when he needed to make the big saves, he did come up at a moment.
Yeah, but I didn't think he was super tested. If you know what I mean, he didn't have to stand on his head. I didn't think at all last night. Here's the thing. I'm ecstatic. We won that game. We're tied for first. We're trending in the right direction. But I'm going to comment on something later. I'm sure someone's going to talk about it in comments, or you're going to bring it up. And I've had a revelation.
No, do tell me. You've had a revelation. What does that mean, Grump? What did you have a revelation? Did you come to the conclusion that the Islanders are a serious playoff contender that can win the Stanley Cup? Is that what it is, Grump? What is a serious revelation you've come across?
No. Well, you know what? I'm going to let the podcast play out. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. I want you to lead the show. I'm sure it's going to come up, but I don't want to bring it up because it makes me angry. So I'm trying to be nice and calm and relaxed today. We're at first place. We're doing well. I'm trying to remain calm on an even keel today. Trying.
Fair enough, Grumpy. That being said, that game that we played last night, Tuesday, it's odd to play a game on Tuesday for the Islanders. Obviously, most games are on Mondays, but man, oh man. That game had all the smells of a playoff atmosphere type of game. It really did.
It did. But I was bored, honestly. I mean, I know we won and I'm happy, but was it exciting to watch? Not really. I didn't think for all the shots. I just didn't think the super excitement. It was a playoff atmosphere, but I would have liked to see a little bit more action.
Here's the thing. I don't know how much more action you could want. How many posts and crossbars do we hit, Grump? I want to say at least 5 or 6. We're hitting posts and crossbars left and right. I mean, that first period was full of a slew of different opportunities and chances by the Islanders. Obviously, we couldn't go ahead and connect, but man, oh man, I thought that first period was tilted in the Islanders' favor, and it was there were a lot of opportunities and there were a lot of good chances.
I thought we were outstanding in the first period. I thought we played really well, but you got to put some of those pucks in the net. I would have felt a little bit better if we put some pucks in the net. That's all. We had the opportunities. It's not like we didn't have opportunities, just didn't finish the deal.
What's going on with you today, Grump? You're giving me some weird vibes.
I don't know, because you delayed I'm off my schedule by half an hour now.
Oh, God. So you skipped the grumpy little intro that you usually have, and now you're back to the calm and docile old man. The out of energy, docile old man. I hear you.
I'm not out of energy, all right? We had that little podcast for the Eastern Division on Monday, was it?
Yeah. And by the way, I don't know if anybody enjoyed that. It was something a little different that we wanted to try. Grump obviously was just ripping the rest of those members of the Hockey Podcast Network. Oh, I get a good laugh out of it. If only I'm just there for shock value, or Grump's there for shock value. I'm just there to laugh. I
was like a cat playing with mice. It's bad enough I got to carry TJ on this podcast all the time. Imagine me having to carry 5 other guys. I mean, they just, Yeah.
Now, was the load extra heavy or normal?
No, it was but it wasn't fun. There was nobody battling the grumpy old man. No, I just dominated as usual. What can I say? But it was easier. At least you'll pretend to give a little fight back. Usually you're wrong. Maverick, you're always wrong. But,
stop.
Just picking on guys from other teams. I mean, I had to defend their own players for them because they just couldn't do it on their own.
I will tell you, when we start introducing the ability to have call-ins, I just have a feeling you are going to be receiving a lot of people trying to prove and stump the Grump. I just had that feeling. I just hope you come ready and prepared, Grump. That's all.
Go for it.
Oh, goodness gracious. Did you happen to read the article in The Athletic today?
That's the one. That's the button. You pushed it. Thank you.
No. I've read it, and it's funny. You see people out there trying to defend Leo Komarov in the first-line role. I think it's important to say this. Grumpy and I think Barry Trotz is an excellent coach. Excellent. Okay? Because there are people online who think that we do not think Barry Trotz is a good coach. I don't know how the hell somebody comes across that impression, comes across that thought process. Barry Trotz is an outstanding coach. The best Islander coach we've seen in quite some time.
One of the top 5 coaches in the league.
For certain. Yep. And again, he's been one of the top 5 coaches in the league for longer than I could count. I mean, he's been an outstanding coach for a long time. That being said,
you know what it tells me? People don't listen to the full podcast, or they'll listen to snippets. Maybe we need to run a little banner along the bottom. Barry Trotz is a good coach. Barry Trotz is a good coach. Just run it there. So because he's thinking, but he's not infallible. He's not perfect. He's a good coach. Really good.
What do you mean, you armchair general manager and armchair head coach? What do you mean? Barry Trotz is God. He does no wrong.
Has he won a Stanley Cup with us? No. Has he even gotten to a Stanley Cup finals? No. I mean,
with us. So make sure you add in the caveat, huh?
He's been coaching. How many years has he been coaching? How many years Barry Trotz been coaching? 30.
Even since Nashville time? I mean, at least 20, like mid to late 20s, no?
Probably 30 years, right? It's got to be close to 30 years.
And the system he has developed is outstanding. I'll tell you one thing. People that are saying that Leo Komarov brings this calming presence, he's helped bring stability to the first line. Ladies and gentlemen, no, it's Barry Trotz and his system that allows Leo Komarov to exist on that first line. That's what it is.
All I have to say is, and I hear it, he's stability, and this. He brings this to, Matt Barzal and Jordan Eberle, and it makes the line's too light. If those two guys at the line's too light, they need a heavy type of guy out there to make them a better line. Otherwise,
they need their Dustin Bufflin, like he used to be for the Chicago Blackhawks back in the day. They need their tough grit.
I'm going to tell you what, you don't need that. Okay, does it help? Yes. Do you need that? No. Maybe the style that Barry plays, where everything's a grind, you need somebody like that to play on every single line and on that first line. But you look at high-scoring teams; they all don't have a grinder on the first line. They don't. I mean, it's just
maybe not grinder, but some of them definitely have that physical presence.
Yeah, some do. But here's the revelation that this said to me. They were talking up how great Matt Martin is on the power play and how he could fit on that first line, and how Komarov, he's such a stabilizing influence. He can play on the first line. Why the hell did you sign back Anders Lee when you have fourth liners who can do the same job he does? They haven't given up a goal since Komarov's been there. I know he's juicing his pants on that one. No goals given up, right? We know that.
No goals given up by the first line. Come on, man. You got to finish the rest of the statement. Come on.
First line, right? Since Lollipop's been on that line. And you know what? That's great. And now they're scoring. They're scoring in spite of Leo Komarov, right? They're actually scoring more than he scored with Anders Lee. So is Leo Komarov a better player than Anders Lee? All the metrics seem to say that he is. Why did you re-sign Anders Lee to a 7-year deal? You didn't need him. You had a guy, a fourth line guy riding on the taxi squad that you got passed through waivers all the time, who's just as good as Anders Lee. Same player. And so what I was talking about earlier, that's why I don't think he's a big loss. With the system we play, Anders Lee is not a big loss. When you can take a fourth line guy or a guy who rides the bench and put him on the first line and be just as successful, Anders Lee he's not needed.
Some people are going to say, and again, I like to play devil's advocate because some people are going to pick sticks with that. They're going to say, oh, well, you know what it is? Barry Trotz is such an unbelievable coach that he's able to coach his way and adapt to make Leo Komarov fit on that first line. Honestly, you bring up an interesting point, though. I'm not sure how somebody is able to explain if they're trying to make the argument that the lineup we have right now is perfect. We don't need to make any moves to address our first line, our gaping hole at first line left wing. If that is a good situation, Leo Komarov is good there on the first line. They've clicked. Everything's working. The sun and the moon have aligned. Why the hell did we sign back Anders Lee with that same methodology and thought process? I mean, it's an interesting question.
Right? That's why the grumpy old man is here. Because you know what? People don't think, they only think from here to here. They don't think big picture, right? I'm going to tell you again. They're saying this because they don't think they can get anybody without overpaying for a trade. That's why they're saying it. Anders Lee is a better player than Leo Komarov. He absolutely is. He's not worth $7 million a year. He's not an indispensable piece to this team. There's two guys on the offense who I would consider, maybe three, who I would consider indispensable for driving this team. Just look at the stats. Matt Barzal, he's in a league by his own. Anthony Beauvillier, and I've always said it, he drove that second line. When he was struggling early in the year, the line didn't do anything. He goes down and plays on the third line. The third line produces. They take him off the third line, put him back on the second. The third line doesn't do anything anymore. And who's producing now? The second line. It's all because those guys drive lines. We don't have enough players like that. Creators, guys who drive the line. And it's been an issue, and I've been saying it for years. We need more players like that. We don't need Kaspers or Lundkrantzes. We need more guys like Beauvillier or Barzal or Tomasino or Michael or Kaliev. Those are the type of guys we need, more guys like that.
The Three Amigos makes their appearance early. So this is all I need to do. I just need to start the podcast 30 minutes later. And instead of us having to wait, an hour until the Three Amigos get mentioned, you do that immediately. Wow. I'm just still blown away by this point. If somebody has a legitimate explanation, and again, it's something you're going to have to ponder upon. If you think that the Islanders are great and they're headed in the right perfect direction, they don't need to worry about Leo Komarov. There's a few different things I think. Why then, if he's such an elite calming presence, do some of these teams that have a sort of similar makeup to a guy like Matt Barzal, who's got the ability to play make as a center, they've got a sniper on their other side, but they're missing some grit. Why did they pick up a guy like Leo Komarov if the production's been up and they've been performing? Why, when he goes on waivers, don't they say, you know what, Leo Komarov's been really proving it. Let's pick up Leo. Or why don't they say, hey, Leo's filled the role just fine. Why do we need Anders Lee? Why don't we just expose him? He sucks up $7 million of cap space. Leo Komarov can fill that role perfectly, and we can put Matt Martin on the power play. We don't have to worry about that. We've essentially gone ahead and minimized our cap hit, and we've given ourselves more freedom of space there for Sorokin, Pelech, as well as Beauvillier this offseason. Wow. That's a good point.
You probably never, a lot of people don't even think about it. That's the first thing I thought. When they want to spew this garbage, okay, here's the thing. I know what they're doing. It's because they don't feel they can pick anybody. That's why they're saying it. But I look at it another way. You want to say how great Leo Komarov is? Why? Because the fans think he's garbage, which he is. Let's be honest. Or Matt Martin. They're good enough to play on the first line. Okay, that's fine. Why do you need Anders Lee? Why do you need him? He's not needed. If these guys could fill the same role that he does, why do you need somebody who makes $7 million a year when you got a guy like the $6 million man over 4 years, and you got Lollipop, who, third or fourth liner, right? His whole career. They're good enough to play on the first line. Why? Here's the thing. You want to know why their goals or 0 goals against since he's been on the first line? Because he's rarely in the offensive zone. It's all Barzal and Everly. He's always trailing behind, right? So he's always the first guy back. He's not hanging out in the offensive zone. One thing, Lee would be in there in front of the net, and he's so slow he couldn't get back. That would hurt in our transition on goals coming back the other way. But Komarov doesn't do that. That's the reason why the goals are different. The thing that surprises me is that their expected goals are up with Komarov in there. Of course, they had the big game, which kind of skews it, where Leo was just on the ice, just a sidecarring it around. Barzal gets 5 points. Leo's a +4, and he's only got 1 assist, which was created by Matt Barzal. Good job, Leo.
Well, Grump, here's one thing. And again, I'm going to jump ahead in the comments. I want to go ahead and give Jim credit because I saw this on Facebook real quick. Jim says, just remember, Leo made Barzal first star of the week. That's the first time he's ever done that in his NHL career. He never did that with Anders Lee. Maybe Leo Komarov has unlocked something that Matt Barzal just didn't know he had. And maybe in the future, we should just continue to roll. Is there any way we can give Leo Komarov an extension? Do you know that? Hold on. Grump, I know usually Lou Lamoriello gives you calls there on the phone. Is there any way at all you can tell him on your next phone call and conversation that the Islander fans, that myself, that the Islanders Never Say Die podcast, they want Leo Komarov extended. They want him to continue playing on the first line because we have seen production out of Matt Barzal, and the defensive shutdown the first line's been as of recent it's hard to quantify.
Well, I guess an extension could be in the works, 4 or 5 years, $6 million per. That's what fourth ring grinders get. Ask Matt Martin. I have a question. I have one question for you. I don't want to derail you, but I'll have it for you afterwards. Okay. I will say that, maybe Leo did help him. When you see how much better Matt Barzal is with another NHLer out there on the ice, you're like, holy crap, look what he's playing with. He's definitely first star of the week. That's what pushed him over the top. Or maybe it was just an unbelievable performance by Matt Barzal. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It was just an unbelievable night by him. Again, all joking aside. That being said, Grump, can I have you say that this year, because Jerry Springer, our boy Jerry Springer, he wants to know if you think Matt Martin has earned his money this year. He thinks he has, and I think Matt Martin's definitely earned his $1.5 million a year. Come on, Grump. I need you to be fair. I need you to be honest. I'm going to be fair. I think he has earned his $1.5 million, and he's earned it by his ability to seamlessly do the Anders Lee role on the power play. As a matter of fact, he's even more creative on the power play. He's able to make a pass like that led to a Beauvillier goal while being on the power play. That was a good think about that. You saw that out of a fourth line grinder, a guy who has never played power play, never consistently played power play minutes ever in his NHL career until this season at the age of, what is he, 32, 33 years old? 32. You know what? 32 years old. I'm always honest. And I was critical of the deal, not the fact that it's $1.5 million for a year, the fact that he gets a 4-year deal with a 32-year-old fourth liner. It's still inexcusable on Lamoriello's part. Just is.
Well, I will tell you one thing. I'm happy about the 4-year deal because now we have more security. I mean, we've been shown that Matt Martin can fill the role of Anders Lee on that power play, and who's to say we just don't keep riding out exactly like it is?
He's still 32. He's still 32. Okay, he's going to be 36 when the deal is up. It's the term. It was the length of the term, not the money he got.
I'm just obviously joking around, Grump, being facetious.
But But here's the thing: do you really see any difference between him and Anders Lee in front of the net? I don't. None. There is no difference. He's willing to do the dirty work in front of the net, and like I said, he made a fantastic. Anders Lee never makes that pass. I'm sorry, he does not. But I was stunned Matt Martin made that pass. He works out, and you know what? I'm happy. Put him on the first power play unit. Why not? He is, like I said, again, why pay $7 million to Anders Lee until he's 36 years old when you have somebody like Matt Martin out there for $1.5 per? Move him. He's not needed. If Leo Komarov can fill his spot, we don't need him on this team.
It's funny. You mentioned, because I got – there's only so much I'm willing to battle online, on Twitter, on Facebook, because it's tough, right? When you're doing these little tiny text messages, they're essentially like little tiny you've got character locks on there with how many message or how many words you can have there on Twitter and everything like that. It's tough really to articulate the exact thoughts. And Mike M, our boy Michael M here, was saying, Grumpy, TJ's been defending you on Twitter. That I was. We had a comment. There was a comment of somebody who's like, "Oh, I don't listen to that miserable Islanders Never Say Die podcast." I'm obviously joking around, Phil, but he was like, "I don't listen to that miserable Islanders Never Say Die podcast. My grandmother knows more about hockey. He thinks Anders Lee is average." And I had to break it down. And I was like, I understand how you can argue Anders Lee is average for a first line left winger, because I look at it like this: if you're looking at Anders Lee and what he brings to the table. For a first-line left winger, does he have an above-average shot amongst the league with other first-line left wingers?
Nope.
No. Does he have average skating abilities?
Nope.
Does he have above-average puck handling skills?
Nope.
Does he have above-average vision and passing?
Nope.
I can tell you one thing. He definitely does better than most left wingers out there. He's a very complete player. I'll tell you that much. He definitely does a good job in that category, even for all the first-line left wingers you're looking amongst the league. He does a good job of winning pucks along the board. He does a good job of plopping himself in front of the net and winning those battles and being aggressive. And he's a team leader. Off the ice, all the great stuff. But until you made the point like that, if you look at him compared to what his role is, which is the first-line left winger, what really does he do well above average where you say, holy shit, that guy's unbelievable? Like Matt Barzal, right? If I'm looking at all the centers, the top line centers in the NHL, I'm saying Matt Barzal's right up there with top 5 with skating ability. I'm saying he's right up there, top 5 or top 10 with ability to distribute the puck, vision. He's right up there, top 5 or top 10 with stick handling ability. You know what I mean? Like, sure, he's got deficiencies in his game, but for a lot of those qualities and characteristics that you want out of a first-line player, he's got. I mean, out of a first-line player, you're not looking for a guy who's going to be like overly physical. Sometimes you do, but most times that doesn't fit your class system there of like, hey, who's our first line left winger? Who's our first line center? Who's our first line right winger?
There's nothing special about Anders Lee as a hockey player. There isn't. There is about Matt Barzal. And I don't know who's the Twitter goof who you had to explain yourself to. Does he have a name?
No, don't. We're not joking around. Phil,
if I had a Twitter page, if I was on Twitter, I guess my response to him would be, you're a moron. And your grandmother probably does know more than you because you probably live in her basement.
No, stop. I'm telling you, you understand when people get the chance to call into the show, obviously you're joking, but still, when they get the chance to call into the show, I think it's going to humanize you, Grump, because people have been looking at you at this mean old curmudgeon man for quite some time. And they'll notice when they get a chance to speak with you, like I've had the chance to speak with you for now over 3.5 years on this podcast format, that you're not so steadfast, and we see eye to eye on a lot more than you think.
Yeah. Like I said, I love it. Here's the thing. Am I wrong? That's the whole thing. You can say whatever you want to say. Am I wrong? The answer is no. I mean, you might not like the answer because it doesn't fit what you want, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Just be honest with yourself. Listen to the grumpy old man. That's what you need to do. You'll be much happier in life. That's all.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, live on the podcast, the Islanders have made a move for guess who? Grumpy old man.
Oh, I don't know who.
We've acquired from the New Jersey Devils Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac.
Oh, God.
Honestly, I'm not upset with the price.
What do they have to give up?
AJ Greer, Mason Jobst, a first rounder this year, and a conditional 4th-round pick in 2022.
Waste. A waste. That's a hideous trade. Absolutely hideous. I give that trade an F. F- for that trade. That's a brutally bad trade. You're giving away first round draft pick again, 2 years in a row now. For what? A rental for 20 games. That's what you're giving around a first round.
Lou is going all in. That's what this is.
I like I said, I don't like it. We're not good enough to win. We're not good enough to win a Stanley Cup. We're not good enough to win a Stanley Cup. This team is old. All you do is add more age to this team.
Ugh.
I'm sorry. I don't like the deal.
How much you think?
What are they going to say now about Leo Komarov? Oh, what are they? Because he's going to find his way to the bench now.
Leo Komarov needs to be back on the ice, baby. Leo Komarov needs to be on the ice. No exceptions, Islander fans. No exceptions there, Arthur Staple. You just came out how he said he did such a good job. No, we don't need Kyle Palmieri. Don't need Travis Zajac. Send him back. I want Leo Komarov chilling here on the first line.
So we trade 2 young guys who, hey, how highly were they rated? I don't know.
Not very.
4th-round draft pick and then another draft pick does Zajac have any term to his deal?
I've got to look that up. I forgot Zajac is 35 years old.
Well, yeah. So where's he going to play? He's going to be on your 3rd line. They both fit the mold. Over 30. Their best years behind them. I mean, that's their MO, right? I just don't believe in giving up 1st-round draft picks. I'm sorry. So this year we'll have no more new talent coming in next year. None.
Well, they're maybe going to go ahead and snipe an absolute stud in the 2nd round, Grump.
Yeah,
they're taking the approach of hey, it's time to win now. I mean, look how many teams do this. Where consistently year over year they trade away their 1st-round pick that year to make a push there for the playoffs. It happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time. How many of them actually win?
One of them actually win.
And usually the teams that make those trade changes before the trade deadline, they usually don't win the cup. I mean, look at now last year, Tampa wound up, I thought, paying a high price to pick up the 2 sandpaper guys that they did. But that is exactly what their team needed. And they've been right there for a number of years. You knew they had the talent. They just need a little bit of grit. They picked that up, and I thought it was a little bit of a steep price, but they're so loaded with young talent, it didn't matter. When you're an older team and you just get older, I just don't think it's beneficial. I mean, hey, Islander fans, all you little newbies who love the Islanders, since they've just been winning the last couple of years, enjoy it now because the fall from grace is going to be hard and fast.
Okay. See, so here's the thing. This is where you and I disagree substantially. This is my thing. Lou Lamoriello's not going to be here forever. We agree on that. It's obviously going to be a push with him here. We have a good, strong, young nucleus. We really do. I don't know what that's going to turn out to be. I mean, you have to be excited with the young guys like Matt Barzal, Oliver Wahlstrom, Noah Dobson, your Sorokins. Those 4 pieces, you have to be excited. You can build around those. Those are going to be, ideally, the cornerstone of this franchise going forward.
You mentioned 4 young guys, and you ice 21 skaters every night. So, to me, we don't have enough young guys on this team. We just don't. We're way too old. And you just continue to add to the age. And you gave up a 1st-round draft pick for a freaking rental.
For 2 rentals. Is that Travis Zajac also has that too?
It's like, who cares? Here's the thing. They might even be signed back. Maybe, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Anthony Beauvillier, Pellick, we don't need you. We need to sign these old guys back. That's what we need to do.
I'm not even sure. I mean, Travis Zajac, man, oh man. I remember watching Travis Zajac as a kid.
when you're
He's
a kid.
still around kicking. I mean, like, he's still around kicking the NHL. He's 35 years old. I mean, like, this is my thing. You know the crazy thing about this? Now, this is the second year in a row that Lou Lamoriello has gone back and dialed up. He went to his little, what do they call that? The little spinny thing, his Rolodex. He went to his Rolodex, grumpy old man, and he went ahead and found the New Jersey Devils number. He said, New Jersey Devils organization, what type of elder player do you have, that we can go ahead and make a trade for that has, this is the expiring bid on his contract. He says Travis Zajac, Andy Green, Kyle Palmieri, obviously he's 29 years old. In the same token, though, I don't think the price is all that much. That's what teams have to give up now when you're making that late push. It just is. Whether you like it or not, it's just how it works.
Well, I'll be interested. Here's the thing. Am I rooting for them now? Absolutely. I certainly am. I've never been a Palmieri guy. I don't know why. Just never have been. But, I mean, wouldn't you rather go on for like Raquel or somebody like that if you're going to give up a first, somebody could be with your team for a few years? Wouldn't that be wiser as opposed to going for a Kyle Palmieri? Would you want Rickard Raquel? I mean, if you had to give up a first-round draft pick, I would.
Kyle Palmieri. I mean, like, it was pretty much the writing was on the wall, right? Islander fans had to know this was coming. Kyle Palmieri, Travis Zajac. I will tell you one thing I'm excited about, though. We didn't give up any prospect worth it him. I mean, Mason Jobst, what is he? He's 27 years old, and AJ Greer was, I think we acquired him from a trade there from Colorado. I don't know, it was a while ago. But again, he's the left winger down there in Bridgeport. I think he's got 11 or 10 games played, 2 points. Again, we're not parting our way with important prospects. I'm using quotation marks there, or anybody that can really tilt the needle, in my opinion, that would make an impact there on the NHL team. So, I mean, what in reality this trade came down to is a first-round pick this year and a conditional fourth-round pick for Kyle Palmieri as well as Travis Zajac.
Yeah, well,
here's my thing. What is Zajac? What's Zajak's role going to be here for the Islanders?
He'll play the third line now. He's going to be on the third line. He's going to be where they're with Pajot and Wallstrom.
Here's my question for you.
And he's going to grind. He's going to grind. That's what they do. They want grinders. That's what they want. They want every game to be 1-0, overtime, triple overtime, 1-0 game. That's what they want.
Here's my question for you. If Kyle Palmieri plays well, do you think they try to find some way to keep him?
Why? How you can't sign unless you get rid of some of the other junk who signed to long-term deals on the first two lines on this team. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. There is no room on the first line for anybody, on the first two lines for anybody else. They're all signed to long-term deals.
So we're talking a little bit about Travis Zajac production-wise this season. Again, playing for the New Jersey Devils, the miserable, lowly New Jersey Devils. 33 games, 7 goals, 11 assists, 18 points in 33 games. A little bit of a resurgence. Plus minus of a dead even 0. I mean, the New Jersey Devils are hideous. To have a neutral there plus minus, I think is an impressive feat. I think you're right. He probably will slide in and fit on that third line left wing role. So we will not be seeing, unless they're giving people rest or breaks, we will not see any more of Leo Komarov, which is good. You're excited about that, I'm sure, Grump. We won't see any more Leo Komarov. We won't see any more Kiefer Bellows. We won't see any more Michael Del Cole. It's going to be Travis Zajac and Kyle Palmieri there going forward. And honestly, again, that seriously, even though Travis Zajac is this advanced point of his career, I still think that's an addition. Kyle Palmieri is obviously way better than Leo Komarov. And, hold on a sec. No, I'm sorry. Leo Komarov needs to be on the ice. I'm sorry. I accidentally changed my opinion because Lou Lamoriello made a trade. So I accidentally changed my alliance, Grump. I'm sorry.
Well, you realize now we have 8 wingers over the age of 30 out of 12. You're aware of that, right? 8. 8 of our wingers are over the age of 30. Is that conducive to really winning when you got a real old team? It's not. I'm just going to tell you, not in today's NHL. You could have got away with it 25, 30 years ago because the game was slower. You were allowed to interfere with guys more. Not today. You got to be able to skate. And
an all-time high, by the way, shooting percentage, 20.6%.
Yeah, well, that's going to come down.
So we should expect them to go on a huge goalless drought for the Islanders.
I don't. If you're expecting anything offensive, offensive production wise from Zajac at this stage of his career, I think you're not looking at it the way it's going to be. I just hope that Palmieri gels with Barzell. I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as they give up a 5-on-5 goal, what's going to happen is that is everyone going to be screaming for Komarov back on first line?
I will tell you one thing. I do think that Kyle Palmieri is a good fit regarding that type of line. I think having another player out there who's quick, speedy, I think that just feeds further into that, what the line could be. You talk about what it would be to add a guy who does have a little bit of speed and pop there to his game as a left winger. I mean, I think Kyle Palmieri does fit that role. Oh, hold on, guys. I'm sorry. Never mind. I'm not sure. I haven't got my new article yet from Arthur Staples, so I'm not sure which way I should lean yet. I'm still thinking that Leo Komarov needs to be on that first line, but with this trade, I'm just not sure. I just need Lou Lamoriello and Arthur Staples to tell me what to think.
Here's a prediction. You won't hear any more talk in between periods, pregame, from any of the media cartel anymore about how great a fit Leo Komarov was on the first line. That's over. That's over. If you see another one of those articles, you can call out the grumpy old man. I'm telling you why it was done. Okay? They didn't think they could make a deal. He finally says, you know what, I'm going to give up, because he wasn't willing to give up first-round pick. So what he did, he's like, all right, give me the other geezer, Zajac. I'll give you the first. I'll give you a conditional fourth, a couple of pieces of garbage from Bridgeport. Let's make it happen. And now you're not going to hear how great Leo Komarov is anymore and how he's such a good fit and, a stabilizing influence on the first line. You won't hear that anymore. That's over. That's over. The most distressing thing is, and everyone knows, I don't think Michael Del Cole is anything more than a third or fourth liner, bottom six guy. He and Kiefer Bellows, that's it. Their shots are over. Over. You won't see either one of them the rest of the year.
So you're telling me I'm not going to see Leo Komarov's stabilizing factor there on the first line anymore?
No, that's right. You won't. Here's the thing: Leo won't even be in the lineup anymore unless somebody gets hurt. He's first guy up, though.
Well, hold on. He's gelled and works so well on the first line. Why would they make a trade?
Like I said, here's the thing. I don't think, like a lot of people think, from here to here. That's as far as they think. I am thinking, 4 months down the road, 6 months down the road. When somebody says something, when they all say the same thing, it's getting leaked to them. Why? Because the team's trying to push a narrative. Okay? You have to look past the narrative sometimes and just look at it with open eyes. Don't look at it with blue and orange glasses. Look at what's really happening.
I will say this. We've got a few comments I want to start getting to. Brian John saying here, TJ, get the sun tan on your head. The sun is pumping out UV rays right now. I messed up the lighting. Paige had she was doing something on her set. She had to kind of fiddle around with the setup, and I had to jack up the lights there for a second. I just had the angles wrong, and it was making me look like I was completely pale. I am pale, but even more pale. See right there, I tried to throw Paige under the bus, so I tried to divert blame for myself.
You didn't try to throw her under the bus. You did throw her under the bus. I'm going to tell you.
I'm just kidding, of course.
You're getting married soon. I'm going to tell you from experience, throwing your wife under the bus as soon as somebody makes a little jab at you is not the way to go.
Oh, no. I'm just joking around, grumpy old man. Continuing on there. Alexander saying, guys, how you doing? What a game by Varlamov yesterday. And Matt Barzal continues to press. Even though he didn't put up points, he continues to be the best player out there on the ice.
He's the best player on the team. Like I said, let's say Matt Barzal get injured. Who would fill his role? Would you find, I don't know, would Casey Cizikas come up and fill that first line center role? Nope. That's what I'm saying. The difference is between Matt Barzal and Anders Lee. Anybody can take Anders Lee's spot.
Brian J saying should be Rogaine as our sponsor. Islanders are sponsored by Rogaine because most fans are bald or going balding or balding.
It says Rohan, but I guess he meant Rogaine.
He meant Rogaine afterwards, Grump.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man. Alexander said, TJ, I think my hairline was receding just like yours when you were talking about the DraftKings. Oh, my God.
Wow. Oh, man, TJ taking punishment ever since. It's your own fault, though. You wanted to get the high-up cameras to look like a professional, and now everybody just makes fun of your hairline.
I don't mind, Grump. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all. Honestly, we could talk about yesterday's game, but we very rarely get live news during the podcast. I don't think it's really worth talking too much about yesterday's game, besides saying it was a great, complete performance there by the Islanders. I thought it was the first time we had played a complete, full 60-minute game of hockey in quite some time. And this trade obviously has completely is going to take over here the remainder of the podcast. Grump, I want to ask you this. With the additions there of Kyle Palmieri as well as Travis Zajac, what do you feel about the remainder of the regular season? What type of expectation do you have? As well as what do you feel about the playoffs?
I think we have a really good shot of winning division. It all depends on how quickly Palmieri meshes with Barzal and Everly. That's the key. I think Zajac, he's been a solid, steady veteran. He's going to be – they love him on that third line. That's an automatic. I think he's going to fit in seamlessly. I think we've seen the end, for the most part, of Oliver Wahlstrom scoring goals in bunches. Wide.
So you think it's going to be more consistent then?
I think it's going to be – they're going to play the traditional third-line role of just, grinding it out, getting it to the next line. I don't think you're going to see – Anthony Duvillier was the reason why Oliver Wahlstrom was scoring.
No. Before that, he was performing and scoring there with just Jean-Gabriel Pageau and Michael Dokohl on that line. Again, Oliver Wahlstrom's able to convert on those chances and opportunities. He also scored quite a few and had quite a few power play points as well. I don't think you're going to see him disappear off the face of the earth and disappear off the score sheet. I still think Oliver Wahlstrom's going to bring it. I think this trade – it's unfortunate. We won't see the best third line in hockey anymore now that Pavillier is going to be cemented in on that second line. But that third line is pretty damn good top to bottom. It really is.
Okay. You realize since Pavillier left that third line, Oliver Wahlstrom hasn't scored, right? You do realize that. Because, like I said, he drove the line. He's the line driver. That's the same thing with the second line. Since he's been on that line, he's driving that line. I mean, these are just facts. That said, I would be disappointed if we don't win division now. I really would. I think we should win division. I think we'll beat Boston. I think Boston's going to take over from Philadelphia. I think they're going to pass them. I know they're in the lead right now. I just don't think Philadelphia's going to catch up. I like our matchup against Boston in the first round, and let Washington and Pittsburgh slug it out. And hopefully we got enough to beat them, but I just don't see us beating Tampa. I just think Tampa's too good.
Well, here's my thing. Again, you always say this, and you've always been a big believer. Unless you believe that the team is, unbelievably stacked, there's no chance you can lose. You're not a big fan of taking a chance and a risk. I'll tell you this much. Since Lou Lamoriello has come to the Islanders, and since Barry Trotz has been the head coach, we've seen the Islanders make legitimate pushes there for playoffs and for being a Stanley Cup champion. We have not seen that since, I don't know in how many years, Grumpy Old Man, that make serious pushes at the NHL trade deadline to go ahead and actually improve their chance of winning a cup. This is rare for Islander fans. I will tell you that much. Whether you're 100% behind the trade or you're against the trade of Kyle Palmieri and Zajac, this is something that we as Islander fans do not see very often, and a lot of teams don't see all that often. So I think no matter what, you have to be appreciative that we're in a moment that, Lou Lamoriello is trying to take those next steps to win the Stanley Cup. Whether it pays off is always something different.
I don't want anyone to take me wrong. This trade makes us better today, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I just don't know if it's enough to get us over the hump and we subtract from our future. Remember, we're really old. We're really an old team on the front line. With all the guys have long-term deals. I mean, so there's not a whole lot of changes that can be made. What if Palmieri really shows out for the last 19, 18, 17 games, what we got left? Let's say he really shows out. Is there a push to re-sign him?
That's what I just asked you. The thing is, I really think Kyle Palmieri's style is going to fit very well with Matt Barzal. And again, I've watched Kyle Palmieri games. The only Kyle Palmieri games I've watched is consistently when the Devils play the Islanders. Kyle Palmieri has a wicked wrist shot, and he's got a really, really good shot. My thing is, if you have Matt Barzal being able to create this space and this open opportunity, and now you have Kyle Palmieri being able to step into these shots, and he has that extra space, I really think that could be a recipe for something dangerous for opposing teams. I think he is poised to have there a successful second half of the season and possibly a successful playoff campaign.
Yeah, like I said, it all depends on how quickly they mesh. I just didn't want to give a first-round draft pick. I mean, that was, to me, that's almost my line in the sand, is I don't want to give up first-round draft picks for rentals. I mean, if he had term on his contract, I got 2-3 years, fine. But for a guy who's, can walk at the end of the season, I just don't know if it's enough to put us over the top. That's all. It makes us better now. I think it makes us favorites of the division now. I think the team is going to be improved now, without a doubt. I mean, as I've been saying for weeks, regardless of what the media people, the media minions have been saying, Leo Conruff was not the answer on the first line, and Michael Del Cole was not the answer on the second line. But Zajac's going to fit in on that third line without a doubt. He's going to play penalty kill. I mean, he's a solid pickup. What is he? 35, 36 years old.
He's 35 years old, Travis Zajac.
But I mean, that's what they want. And if we can get Palmieri clicking with Barzal, I mean, I think we can win division this year. I really do. I just don't see us beating Tampa. That's all. I just think Tampa's just too good. They're loaded, man. They're freaking loaded.
Here's my thing. You always say this though. You're tentative, and this is even for us again. Like we've had podcasts. We've podcasted a long time, and again, like obviously we have a lot of people on right now watching and listening to the podcast live just because of Kyle Palmieri acquisition as well as Travis Zajac. That being said, grumpy old man. Ooh. Oh, I'm a little pigeon here or dove. That being said, grumpy old man. You have to take a chance because the NHL playoffs, it's a wild and wacky time. You never know what can happen. I know you say, hey, Tampa's head over heels the favorites. Yes, they are. In the same token, though, you have to take a chance. You have to occasionally take a chance. You just can't say, all right, Tampa looks like they've got it all scheduled away and slotted away. Time for me to just go ahead and pack up the bags for 3 seasons until they're done. I'm going to go ahead and get set for 3 years from now.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is that the one thing Tampa learned how to do last year that they didn't know how to do previously was they learned how to win. And you saw it with the Islanders back in the day. It took them a while. And how many years have I been saying Tampa reminds me of the Islanders from back in the day? For years, right? You have to learn how to win. And they know how to win now. See, that's what scares me about them is they know how to win now, and they're supremely talented. That's the problem. That's the problem with playing against Tampa, the whole thing. Now, I felt we gave up too much, but we're going for it, and I don't have a problem. I just wish we would have given up 2 seconds as opposed to the first. That's all.
Grump, I can't hear you at all. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I can.
Just go on. I've got technical difficulties. Give me a second here, Grumpy.
What a shock. That's right. I'll just continue on my own personal soliloquy, which everyone likes to hear anyway. Like I said, and I'll just say it again, when you see a trade like that being made, obviously we're all in, and I'm not opposed to it just because of the age of the team. I just didn't want to give up that first-round draft pick. I don't like giving up first-round draft picks. We've done it 2 years in a row now. So what does that mean? It's going to be less and less young talent coming into the organization that's kind of bereft of young talent as it is. What are you going to do a couple of years from now when all these guys are aged out? Right? You got Clutterbuck. I think he's got 2 more deals. You got Matt Martin, who's 32. He's got 3 more years after this. They're going to re-sign Casey Zizekas, right? He's over 30, but they're going to re-sign him too. Then you got Josh Bailey's got 3 more years on his deal. Then you got Anders Lee has 5 more years on his deal. You got Brock Nelson with 4 more years, 3 more years after this one for Eberle. Those guys are signed to long-term deals. So do you have a chance to keep Palmieri? I don't know. But I would like to be able to keep him, depending on how he performs. But it's like you're going to have to move somebody else. Maybe you lose somebody in the expansion draft. I don't know. But it's going to be difficult for us. But, hey, lose all in for right now.
Yeah, absolutely is Grumpy Old Man. Got a comment here from Gustavo saying, "Greetings from Mexico, guys. Excellent podcast. Do appreciate it." And it's another YouTube comment.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, we're popular in Germany. We're popular in Canada. We're popular in Mexico. I love it.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm not even sure. I mean, like, because we've got a whole bunch of comments, Grump. I'm not sure if we should just stick straight to the trade comments right here, because obviously that is the most entertaining portion here.
Well, you know what? Hey, whatever floats your boat. I don't care. That's gonna be the news of the day.
Erica T saying Matt Martin's underrated. He does more for this team than almost anyone. True bang for your buck. Pardon for the pun.
He serves his purpose, and like I said, he's very easily slid into the Anders Lee role on the power play. He's done really good there. And, I call him the $6 million man, not because I dislike Matt Martin. I love Matt Martin. I don't think any Islander fan doesn't love Matt Martin. It's more the term as opposed to the actual the money that he made this year. And plus, it's a cool name. The $6 million man, Steve Austin, the $6 million man.
I'm glad you said that. I do think you're right, though. I mean, chiming off the point you're making earlier, I think it's almost a must. The Islanders will win the division. I think, that's definitely the goal. I think also, I mean, playoff production wise, where do you think would be a reasonable expectation? Because I think this definitely does help out the first line. It gets that I'm sorry. Well, I can't say that yet. There hasn't been an article, and Lou hasn't told us yet how great that trade is yet. But when he does, I will say that's been a great addition to the first line and an unbelievable addition to the third line. But as of right now, we're going to stick status quo. Leo Komarov, best first line left wing the Islanders have seen. His name is Leo Bossi. And, between the revolving door of my Ross Johnston, Michael Del Cole, Kiefer Bellows, them never being able to establish the third line left wing, I thought those options were really good until we just made this trade, until somebody tells me that, this is a good move.
Okay, let me give Lou credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I think it's a good move by Lou. Even though you think he overpaid, I think it's a good move by Lou.
Yeah, I mean, he realized that we had some holes in this team that need to be filled. It's an older team. The shelf life of this team is short, and he's like, you know what? We're going to go for it. And I'm happier for him as opposed to Taylor Hall. I will say that. I didn't think Taylor Hall was a fit for this team, but I think Palmieri is defensively responsible as well. And he fits right in. So.
Also what else? You have said this year after year after year, that if you wait too long towards a trade deadline, you get bent over the barrel and you lose out on your deal. Lou Lamoriello was the first. And again, we give Lou a lot of slack. We also give him kudos where kudos are due. He was proactive, and he was the first guy to make a splash here this year. You set effectively what the market looks like. So again, instead of you having to be retroactive to where the market continues to increase as you see this panic buy, as Kyle Palmieri's price has been set. Oh, crap, this guy's kind of close to Kyle Palmieri here. We got to bid up a little bit more because now, Kyle Palmieri's off the board. What are we going to do for our next option? All you're going to see is prices increase the closer you get to the trade deadline. Occasionally, you'll get a snag here or there. Lou Lamoriello was proactive through this. And, as much slack as we give him, that's a good move to be proactive during this time period of the trade deadline.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that Lou probably didn't want to give up that first-round draft pick. I'm almost certain of that. He probably would say, hey, I'll move a couple of twos. And the Devils probably held on. We just want a one. If it's not the one, it doesn't work. And he said, you know what? Let's go for it. So, like I said, for me, I'm always looking to the future. Maybe that's because I've been an Islander fan for so long. For how many years, the best thing to look forward if you were an Islanders fan was to the draft, right? For many, many years. So this is a different way of thinking. And I'm all for going for it, honestly. I just didn't want to give up that first. I'd much rather dealt those 2 seconds. And it just, we'll see how the offseason plays out. But right now, it certainly improves our chances of winning division. And we know how strong we are at home. And I think we're now a favorite to.
What are you speaking? Oh, you keep pausing there for a second.
Yeah, I know. I think that we are the favorite now to make it to the semifinals again. I really do.
Or we'll face off possibly against the Tampa Bay Lightning again.
Yeah, that's what I think it'll be. Let me tell you something. Carolina's pretty good too, and so is Florida. They're surprised. Some of those teams in that division have been pretty surprising.
That's what I say. I mean, like, you always take the approach of whoever's the favorite head over heels. Oh, we can never catch up to them. They're that great. I mean, again, Tampa is unbelievable. What?
Not true.
That's the approach you've taken with Tampa.
Okay, but Tampa wasn't even the best team in the league last year during the regular season. They were not. But I still thought Tampa was the best team. Boston was the best team in the league last year during the regular season. But I always felt Tampa. Then Tampa added those two guys. They remind me of the Islanders in the 80s before they got Butch. Right there on the edge. They lost rounds when we lost to freaking Toronto in the quarters, which was the first round of the playoffs for us in 1978. Then we lose to the Rangers after that. Ugh. Man, those were two brutal losses, honestly, but we were so much the better team. The next year, our record wasn't as good. We weren't the best team in the league that year, but we got Butch and everybody grew up and they learned how to win all at the same time. And then we were dominant for 4 years. That's where I feel that Tampa's at. Their young core, their core is still young. You can lose a Stamkos all last year and you win a cup. You lose Kucherov this year and you're still dominating. And he's going to come back for the playoffs. It's like, wow, they're really, really good, and they know how to win. I mean, that's unfortunate for us.
Well, you can say it's unfortunate for a lot of different teams. Brian J. saying here, I told you Palmieri to the Islanders, Grump, mark it down. That you did, most certainly. Again, a lot of you guys have been championing there, Kyle Palmieri. You're not happy about giving up a first-round pick. I look at it like this. The guys that we gave up, Jost and Greer, don't have any career in the NHL upcoming unless it's like, hey, we need an emergency call up. So again, I don't mind us moving those pieces. It essentially was a first round pick and a conditional fourth for Travis Zajac, who gives us a solid third line left winger, a consistent third line left winger. So we stop playing the carousel game of who's going to be on our third line. I told you, going in this trade deadline, I would have been super happy and enthralled if the Islanders addressed, two top six left wingers. Obviously, that was on the Christmas list because I said if Villiers can go back down to that third line, man, oh man, we'd have three lines that can completely score and can dominate action, right? We go ahead and address it there. Travis Zajac, he technically plays top 6 minutes, and then Kyle Palmieri. Again, Zajac, not a top six guy. He's going to be slid there on the third line. So we add a little bit of continuity to that third line on the left wing spot. I think that's good.
This line makes us really tough to beat, particularly against the teams in our division. I like the deal. The only caveat for me was the first for a guy who's a rental. That's the only caveat because I think they fit what we do, our style and our system, and we had two holes on this roster, right? And to me, this makes us really balanced. Up and down, we're balanced.
And that, if you think about it, that is what made the Islanders so damn good last year too, is they were unbelievably balanced.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, we're going the same exact mix-up. I mean, like, seriously, it's not like our top, I know that
Zajac's going to bring more to the table as an overall game than Brassard ever did. I will say that.
Yeah. Now, here's some news, and take this as you will, Islander fans. Again, I know this was retweeted there by Andrew Gross saying, after acquiring Zajac and Palmieri, apparently the Devils retained half of the contract. So again, we only added $5.2 million of annual cap hit to the Islanders right now. So we still have $3.1 million of cap space remaining. And here's my question to you. The Islanders have to be maybe considering one more additional move because there's no way in hell it's a huge point for you to have the Devils retain a certain amount of salary if you didn't plan on still being active at this trade deadline.
I just don't know what they're looking for. What else? There's no more spots on the team. I mean, I'm glad they got them to take some of that money, and maybe that's why it was the first round pick also. They didn't want.
It would provide context, right? If you wanted the Devils to retain half of their salary, now you've got an extra $3 million you can work with. Again, I'm really interested to see.
And it's all prorated. It's all prorated also for the rest of the year.
That's what I'm saying. We still have $3 million worth of cap space right now at this moment.
Yeah. Like I said, I like the deal from the current team aspect. I just wish we were closer to being one of the best teams, to Tampa. I mean, I think we could beat anybody but Tampa. I really do. I just don't think anybody can beat Tampa. I mean, I just feel so strongly about them. I just think they're a juggernaut right now.
Here's a second question for you. How does it feel as an Islander fan? Now, 2 years in a row, again, you're a lifelong Islander fan since the inception days. 2 years in a row, the Islanders are making a stab and saying, hey, we're real competitors. We're here to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, this is not something we get to experience all that often. You know, you might say the price was a little steep. And again, that you can always argue about that back and forth. I know they held on to some caps, so maybe that explains a little more why a first-round pick was involved. I think it definitely addressed needs. But, man, oh, man, to think that this is not just the only move we're going to do when we address essentially two holes that we had, a third-line left winger position, which has been, you know, a revolving door all season long between Ross Johnston, Michael Del Cole, Leo Komarov, Kiefer Bellows. We've now added a solid third-line left winger, and you've added Kyle Palmieri. Again, albeit both rentals. You still have $3 million of cap space. One would think there's still something going in Lou that he thinks he's going to be able to have happen here before the end of the trade deadline, right?
Think about what you gave up in the last 2 years. 2 number ones, 3 number twos, a 4 for a third-line center, a third-line winger, and I know Palmieri will play first line for us, but he's a second-line winger. But let's say he's a first-line winger. But he's a rental. See, that's the thing. He's a rental. I mean, that's a lot to give up. That's a lot to give up.
And we also got Andy Green.
Right, Andy Green, he's at number 6 defenseman, which is what he is at this stage of his career. So, you know, but here's the thing. If you're an Islander fan, particularly a younger Islander fan who hasn't seen the team be successful long-term, you have to be ecstatic that we're making these moves. These are not the Garth Snow Islanders. These are not the Mike Milbury Islanders. This harkens back to the day when Bill Torrey was GM and would make some moves. That's how you got Butch Goring, right? That's how you picked up, other guys at trade deadlines. It's nice to be like that, where you're a team that you feel you're close, or you are. Here's the thing: we are close. We are close. It's just Tampa. I just think they're like the 800-pound gorilla. I mean,
here's the thing. I seriously think the more you think about this, Grump, the happier you're going to be, because I really didn't know what to expect. This is the first time we have had like a live trade happen while we were live streaming. I'm just happy it happened on today while we were live streaming.
Here's the thing. I gave the trade an F- when they first announced it, but now what's it to be?
I was about to say, I know you've been rosy since then, but your initial reaction was full trade. What did you say, Grump? Because the initial knee-jerk reaction was, holy shit, it's Kyle Palmieri.
Well, yeah, because I'm not a super fan of him. And it was a first-round pick. It was the first-round pick that was a thing for me. Like, okay, the Miami Dolphins made a trade with San Francisco 49ers in football a couple of weeks ago. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, man, the Dolphins absolutely killed on that deal. I mean, you can tell when somebody absolutely kills. And now 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later, I still feel the Dolphins killed on that deal. Okay. But this one here, when you're seeing the cap ramifications,
I think it more makes sense. It was probably about a fair trade. I mean, like, obviously,
I just didn't want to give up the first. That's all. The whole thing for me was the first for rental.
This year's draft is not very deep. And again, you see a lot of people talking about this. Take this as it will. And this is, when you talk about how deep this year's draft is, you have to remember this year has been all thrown off for all these young men and juniors. They're number one, they're not professionals. They're 16, 17. Oh, the players you're drafting are 17 years old. Still, I mean, it's not a normal season for them. COVID completely threw everything off. So it's hard to gauge as to how much they improved between 2 years before their draft class, or 1 year before their draft class year to their draft class year. You didn't get to see that maturation. You didn't get to see that maturity. You're going to have a tough time also being able to identify those guys like a Connor McMichael who shot up the boards because he had an unbelievable last season. You had some leagues playing without checking. I mean, this year in juniors was completely different. So it's tough to say, at least knee-jerk. I'm not going to have a knee-jerk reaction saying this year's draft isn't very deep. I understand that's what most pundits are saying. I haven't done enough research yet. We're not even in the offseason.
Okay,
I'm not going to do that.
I do have a question, though,
Yeah.
because this offseason when we traded Devon Taves, that was such a brilliant move because we got these second-round draft picks and, hey, we're going to be able to restock the cupboards. Well, if the draft isn't that good, like everyone is saying now, does it make the Devon Taves trade look worse? I didn't think it could look any worse than it did, but now since everyone is saying how the draft isn't that good because we gave up a first-round draft pick, well, I mean, it's even worse than the second round, I would assume.
It's not everybody, but I'm just, it's always funny. People rationalize the position they're in, and maybe we do it ourselves a little bit as well, Grum. But people rationalize the position they're in to try to make, the most, cheery outcome and, the happy outcome there is, right?
I think
now it's like this. We just have to go ahead and go with it. So I guess I can look at it in this different color lens glasses.
I think if you just, instead of trying to color things one way or the other, if you're just honest, I think people like it better. I mean, that's what I try to be. I mean, I know I can be a little flamboyant and over the top sometimes, but I give you an actual honest display of what's happening and what these moves mean. Short term, long term. Are they good for the team short term? Absolutely. Long term, not so much. Now, if you sign Palmieri back,
here's the thing, though. You have talked about this plenty of times. Palmieri's now 29 years old. If you sign Kyle Palmieri back, it's at least going to be a multi-year deal. There's no way he's taking a 1 or 2 year type of deal. It's going to be multiple years, and he's going to get capped. He's going to get paid. So now you've just gone ahead and added to the overall age. And again, you talk about the hard barrier it is for entry for some of these young guys, albeit Bridgeport is vacant when it comes to young, talented forwards. It's just not lush with it. Where some organizations have it, we have very good defensemen. Forwards, not so much.
And that's the issue. And that's my issue with trading away first-round draft picks. That's the issue in a nutshell. We don't have anyone on the offensive side of the puck in the minors. We don't have anyone. No one. They're all up with the big team.
We've got Simon Holmstrom.
Like I said, we have no one outside who's with the big team. Thanks for proving my point.
Michael M saying, Hall, Grumpy must cost a first-round Bellows and then more. Talking about the price, right? Because if the price now for Kyle Palmieri and Zajac was essentially a first and a conditional fourth-round pick, I'll be interested to see what Taylor Hall is going to cost.
I'll be interested to see if we overpaid compared to what other people do. Let's say Taylor Hall goes for a second. Did we overpay for Palmieri?
Yes.
That like I said, we'll see in the next week or so, in the next however many days. I'll just be interested to see what Taylor Hall what it takes to acquire him.
I will tell you this much. I will use the past performance of the trade market as an accurate cursor. Again, we can't always promise that the past and historical markers will always indicate the future and current. That being said, I think, Taylor Hall is at least a first plus.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of Taylor Hall. I'm just interested to see what he's going to net. That's all. I mean, I'm willing to sit back and remain calm and see what other guys get before I finally judge this trade. If I see Taylor Hall going for a second-round pick, I'm going to lose my mind. Just a warning.
I don't think that's going to happen. Again, we've got a lot of people saying terrible trade here in the chat. You could say maybe what we gave up isn't ideal. I'll tell you one thing, though. It
helps today's team, without a doubt. No one can deny that. No one can deny it. When the team has no offensive players in the pipeline, I mean none, it's awful hard to keep on giving away first-round draft picks year after year. Just difficult.
And I get it. Some fans are going to feel like, hey, we're chasing at a fleeting straw and a fleeting obstacle. It just continues to go and go and go, and you wonder how long the current makeup has it. You and I have talked about this before. We've talked about this preseason. We talked about this midseason sometimes. The team and the Islanders' makeup, if you look at it outside, a few of the young players, relatively speaking, it's pretty old. We've talked about, before, if you look at the season, when a routine when everything's healthy, right? Andersley, is he 30 years old yet, Grump?
He's 31.
31 years old. Matt Barzal, young, not even worried about having him in the equation. Jordan Eberle's more than 30 years old.
He's 32.
Again, both Anders Lee and Jordan Eberle still have term to their contracts, both 31 and 32. You said he's 32 or 33? I'm sorry.
Who?
Eberle.
He's 32 now.
32. Second line, you look at it. Brock Nelson, 29, 30 years old. Was he 30 years old too?
Brock Nelson's also 30. He's 30.
Josh Bailey, 32, 33.
31, 32.
Somewhere like that. Young 30s. Second line left winger, Anthony Beauvillier, young. Jean-Gabriel Pageau, he's 29, 28 years old now.
Hold on. I have, you know what? I have all this information right at my fingertips, TJ. JG Pageau is 28. Bailey's 31. I think Nelson's 29. I'm sorry. Eberle is 30. Bailey 31. JG Pageau 28. Clutterbuck 33. Casey 33. Kami 34. Lollipop is 34. Zajac 35. Palmieri 30. Beauvillier 23. Martin 31. And Ross Johnston. And then
so the majority of your line, even before this trade, the majority of the team, and that's where it has to be and that's what you have to look at, right? Lou Lamoriello didn't build this team. He inherited this team. And when you inherit a team, now 3 years into being a general manager, you look at it and you say, all right, my first line when healthy, I've got two players now that are in their 30s. Both wingers now are 31 and 32 years old, respectively.
And
when we look at my second line,
historically, guys in their 30s tend to fall off a cliff.
This is my point. This is my point as to when people are saying this is a terrible trade. This is how I can rationalize what Lou Lamoriello is thinking. Again, we are not the rosy color rounder fans. For everybody here that's new to the podcast, that's not who we are. We're pretty realistic here, and I think we're pretty fair and honest. I will say though, when you look at the makeup of the team, first line we had two wingers, both over 30 years old. Brock Nelson, Josh Bailey, both 30 or over 30 years old. On that third line, I don't even know who the hell you consider the left wing before this trade, was in flux at consistent time. Jean-Gabriel Pageau, you said he's 28 or 29 years old. Pageau. And our fourth line is all 30 plus.
Right.
We don't have any depth. We don't have any depth in Bridgeport when it comes to forwards at all. Maybe Simon Holmstrom's the only guy I could see somebody saying, I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see. It used to be Otto Koivula, but again,
he's
never gotten a chance. He'll never get a chance.
He's a bottom six guy, right? But think about it. Has the fourth line been great consistently all year? No, they have not. They've had some games where they played really well, but they've looked really bad at times also. Why? It's not because, all of a sudden they forgot to play hockey. They're older now. You can't do the things. That style of play is not conducive to playing until you're 34, 35 years old. It just isn't. And you're going to see the same thing with Anders Lee. You saw it with Andrew Ladd, right? Guys who play a physical game. And our style is that physical grinding style. You're not going to be able to play till your mid-30s with that type of style of play. And we have nobody to fill in on the back end. That's the issue for me.
So I understand the reason and the thought process of, yes, we need to be all in. I really don't mind us being in all-in mode. I don't. I'm not a big fan of giving up first-round picks like yourself. I understand it, though. And again, the team he inherited, the makeup was a team that was we're in win-now mode. I said this, I said at the beginning of this year, I said our window is closing. Our window is finite. We have a young nucleus we can build around after this. Maybe we can have, a shortened rebuild, because all good things always come to an end. That being said, our window is finite and he's doing everything he can to win during this small window. So, no problem with that. Now, do you think Devils general manager Tom Fitzgerald says, I hope the pick we get is number 32. I hope both of these gentlemen win the cup. You think he gave Lou Lamoriello a discount?
No, I didn't give him a discount.
I'm just not sure. Everything I saw there, everybody was saying Kyle Palmieri at least could be a first-round pick.
Well, he wasn't.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because he was proactive. Lou Lamoriello did a great job by being the first person to jump there on a trade market, which is the reason why. Even though we gave him a first-round pick,
I can't wait.
I'm shocked we got back Travis Zajac. I really am. And they retained half of the salary. There's certain bits of this trade where I'm just like, I'm shocked they did that. I'm shocked the Devils organization did this.
Well, they were going to lose both guys at the end of the season anyway. You got a first round pick for them. I mean, they weren't going anywhere this year. Tom Fitzgerald, old Islander draft pick. Nice to see him, give kudos, to those guys. Here's the thing: I'm sure they're solid citizens. Zajac's been captain in the past, so I mean, not not unhappy with the players we got. Just didn't want to give up that first round pick. That's all.
And again, we pulled up their Travis Zajac stats there. I'm sorry, we pulled up their Travis Zajac stats there a little earlier. I want to go ahead and also pull up Palmieri's this season just so we can go ahead and show that there to everybody listening there on the live stream, just so we can go ahead and provide that type of context. Again, I think this is addressing the need that we had for certain. And
they're going to be rejuvenated coming into this locker room and this team. I really believe that.
Kyle Palmieri so far, 34 games, 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points, -2 there for Kyle Palmieri.
Yeah, they're a bad team, though. I mean, I think a change of scenery will do him well. I mean, I know he scored over 25 goals for a number of years in a row. I know that. Here's the thing. I am rooting for him. I would love – here's the thing. I would love for him to play so well that we feel it necessary to re-sign him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me put it. I mean, like I said, I think we are the favorites to win the Eastern Division. I think we're favorites to get to the semifinals of the Stanley Cup. I just think we are. I think this trade addresses the needs that we have on this team this season, without a doubt. I mean, that's the way you have to look at it, right? And as an Islander fan, you have to be happy that we're going all in. I mean, who doesn't like their team to go all in, honestly? I mean, I know I do. So
Brian J saying, can somebody tell me why this is a good trade with facts? I'd really want to know why I'm sitting here thinking math equations in my head while being flabbergasted.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll handle this. Fact. Kyle Palmieri is a light year improvement over Leo Komarov on the first year. Light years.
On the first line.
On the first line over Leo Komarov. And I'm going to tell you what, he's probably a better player than Anders Lee. He's able to do more things than Anders Lee can. Zajac, solid. He's like Foligno in Columbus, right, at this stage of his career, right? Former captain, solid citizen, knows how to play the game. He's a big upgrade over whoever you put on that third line.
Another thing here, too, is when you're talking about, hey, you're looking with facts, they're looking for stats. Again, the numbers that Zajac and Kyle Palmieri put up are not going to be gaudy. The New Jersey Devils are hideous. It's just like when you trade for a guy like Taylor Hall. You know his value. You know what he can bring to the table. His goal total is going to be putrid this season, but you still know he's an unbelievable goal scorer if you're able to go ahead and get him started. This is the thing, too. With a guy like Kyle Palmieri, with a guy like Travis Zajac, they're both guys. We talked about the requirements that these players that Lou Lamoriello acquired in the trade, they had to do certain things. They had to be willing to subjugate their game to play defense. Both Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac both do that. And again, you don't lose anything in the defensive aspect, and you add offensive pop, and now you add a consistent third-line left winger. Again, we can argue a little bit there on the price, but I really think I've got this inkling, I've got this gut feeling that because the Devils retained half of the cap, I really think the Islanders want to make another move.
I just don't know where – I don't know what they're looking for. These were the final two pieces of the puzzle for this season for me. A third-line winger, which we were talking about earlier in the year, right? What's the one thing the Islanders need? They need a third-line winger, right? This before Anders Lee got hurt. Then when he got injured, they needed, even though obviously they didn't with Leo Komarov on the first line, but they, realistically needed a first-line winger, and they were able to get one, a rental, albeit a rental, but somebody who brings a different element of game than Anders did.
This is the first time, too. I mean, this will be the first time in quite some time that Matt Barzal is going to consistently have somebody on his line that has a different style. I mean, like, if you're talking blue blood, a guy who can create a little offense, a guy who's got a good shot. I mean, Anders Lee, he does things extremely well. He's a great complete player. He does a lot of things well. He was never a guy that had an unbelievable snap wrist shot there for his role. And again, Kyle Palmieri, I think he's got an outstanding wrist shot. And all I'm using here is my sample size of what I've seen him do against the Islanders. Man, oh man. I mean, even when you look back, since Lou and since Barry Trotz have been here, how many times did he pick corners against the Islanders? And again, all I'm using is just watching him play against the Islanders. I don't watch a lot of Devils games.
They're hard to watch. That's why. But I honestly, I'm expecting him to come out tomorrow and get at least a goal. I think, like I said, it's going to be nice to see Barzal with two wingers who can actually skate. I think that it's going to be fun to watch. I really, and who can shoot.
You want to talk as well about offensive production of Matt Barzal. I think that only helps. I mean, like you lose hold on. You lose the anchor, but I can't say that just quite yet because, as of right now, Leo Komarov has had stability to that first line per Arthur Staple and everybody else. But anyway, so I can't say that until tomorrow they come out saying that Kyle Palmieri is the greatest thing since sliced bread and Lou Lamoriello did a great job of addressing the team needs. He did do a good job of addressing the team needs. But the thing is, the craziest thing about this, people would borderline argue that the Islanders didn't need to make any moves because Leo Komarov, now they haven't allowed a goal. Their goal differential on that first line has been unbelievable since even Anders Lee left. I just always find that funny. I'm still flabbergasted by those points, and I wonder how those people are going to try to divot and U-turn and say, oh, wait a second here. We needed to acquire Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac. That was a good move. I got a comment here from Michael B saying, great way to expound about the Lee deal. If we just picked up our scabs, then what are we going to do with Bellows?
Yeah, he's done. He's done. We won't see him again. Hey, maybe that's somebody that the Kraken looks to take a shot on.
Well, here you go. You speak about $3 million worth of cap space. If I'm thinking about the guy who's probably got the most trade value regarding like a younger prospect, I think it's got to be Kiefer Bellows. Don't think Kiefer Bellows is safe just quite yet. I wouldn't be shocked at all. We still have $3 million worth of cap space available. I'll be interested to see what we do with this here. The Wicked 50 Cal, another YouTube comment saying, not going to lie, I didn't want Zajac. I'm fine with Palmieri, but why the first rounder?
Yeah, see, that's my thing. I didn't want to give up the first. But here's the thing. I'm a slave to the draft. I really am. I feel the way to build a team is through the draft. They're cheap. And, if you can get young talent on the way up, that's the way to go. And that's with any sport, honestly. You have to draft well to be a success long term. But I could see why they went this route just because of the age of everybody on the team. I mean, we're only going to have so many kicks at the can with this lineup the way it's currently constituted. And kudos to Lou. I can be hard on him, but he realized what we needed, and he went out and got it. And I didn't want to give up the first, but you know what? I'll be able to live with that, especially if Palmieri comes out and meshes with Barzal right away. I don't know why. I've not been a Palmieri guy, but I'm kind of talking myself into it right now. So we're going to see. I expect a hat trick tomorrow night now. Now it's a hat trick.
The crazy thing is, when you make these statements talking about Lou did a great job, I just need to clip those because now with this Rodecaster Pro, I'll just be able to use them on our soundboard and I could just go ahead and hit on it and then it's automatically going to play for us. So I'm really looking forward to that, grumpy old man. And Ross N here saying 8 out of our 12 ringers that are old is called going for it. Yes, not good for long term, but let's go, baby. Enjoying the ride while we've got it.
Well, you know what, Ross? That's another way to look at it. I mean, I just wish we had a shot, and I just wish Tampa wasn't so damn good. That's what I'm saying. I just wish they weren't that good because they're fantastic.
You stop chiming about us. Stop mentioning about how great Tampa is, my guy. You sound like a broken record right now. Frank G saying Lou, and then Michael D is saying a first round pick that's going to be in the high 20s is a no brainer for a team that has a chance to win the cup.
Yeah, I just don't know if we have a chance to win the cup. That's all.
Oh, stop! You're still not sold yet.
Well, I'm not. Like I said, I think honestly we should get out of our division and get to the semifinals. I just didn't know if we get any further than that. That's all. I mean, that's just, I'm being real with you. I mean, that's last year I thought was the high watermark for us. We could be right back there again this year. We really could. With this trade.
David C says, I blame Grump. The secret landline Lou calls him on led to this trade.
I did tell him I didn't want Palmieri and certainly not Zajac. So he's like, screw you. I'm gonna trade for both of them.
This is for you, grumpy old man. Suck on this.
And they're like, what would you give up? I said a first round pick. That's the first thing we're gonna include.
Oh, goodness gracious here. We've got more comments here. Do you think Bellows and Michael Del Cole will be traded on or before Monday's trade deadline?
No.
Really?
Yeah. Why? They're gonna be depth pieces. They're not gonna get rid of them. Let's say you have some injuries. You're not gonna. They're not. No, not happening.
Fair enough, grumpy old man. Again, like
what trade value does Kiefer Bellows have?
I think Kiefer Bellows might be the guy who's traded. I don't think Michael Del Cole is going to be traded. No chance in hell. But I think Kiefer Bellows does hold trade value. I think he does.
He's a throw-in piece. We don't have a first-round pick anymore. I don't know what else we could get.
Yeah. Okay, with $3 million worth of available cap space, I don't think we're going out and trading for any huge, any huge whale or anything like that of a player. It's more just adding another depth piece there. I honestly, I'm not sure. Maybe they'd look defense.
Just remember that. Okay, where's he going to play? Okay,
Andy Green or maybe Scott Mayfield. Okay, let's look at the biggest holes that this team still has left on it that maybe we can address. I'm looking at him like Scott Mayfield has been miserable this season. Absolutely miserable. As much as we like Scott Mayfield, we want to see him do well. He's been bad. And Andy Green, as of recent, looks like he's a turnstile. He can't go ahead and keep up. I mean, like he's just completely lost out there. He just can't skate anymore.
Yeah, I think they're comfortable with their defense pairings. I just do. Kiefer Bellows for me, he's more of a throw-in at this point in time, to get you somebody a little bit better. But I don't think his trade value is what it could possibly be. Michael Del Cole has no trade value whatsoever. So, I mean, he's a restricted free agent at the end of the year. So, I just don't see us making another deal. I think this was the deal for us. And you know what? It filled the two holes we needed. I just don't know if it's enough to put us over the top. That's all.
And I'll tell you one thing. Lou Lamoriello was proactive. We talk about so many things that are important to do as a general manager. Being proactive when it comes to making moves that are going to alter the team is important, as opposed to being retroactive like we had to be there with the Anders Lee, like we've done with multiple different scenarios. Being proactive is hugely important. Tommy B here saying excellent trade there by the Islanders.
I'd like to get that Tommy Baffy on the podcast. I'll show him a thing.
You sound like you're damn having an aneurysm, Grump.
Yeah.
Take a drink of water, sit back. I don't know. Are you just blown away by this Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac trade? We're just like,
no. I will say, and I've been critical of Lou Lamoriello in the past. Truth be told, I always come clean. For 2.5 years, he didn't make a move, and then the last two trade deadlines, he has made moves. We'll see. Last year's worked out good.
Last year's worked out really damn good.
I still thought it was a little bit of an overpay for Pajot. A little bit.
I agree. For just when you think about what a third line center is, sure.
Right. I think it's a bit of an overpay, a first and a second. I think that's an overpay for a third line center. And for Palmieri as a rental, a little bit of an overpay, but at least he made moves. He saw some holes on the team, and he went out and he made the changes that would need to be done. So kudos to Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Brian B. I love how my face, Grump, I've been having technical difficulties with the camera all day today. Am I still moving or am I just frozen?
You're static, and it's a nice picture of you too.
Oh, good. I can see. I'm like looking off there. Oh, terrific. Brian B. says, F it, let's go. Gone this far, Lou. Go get another top 6. Let's go for broke. Who cares at this point?
Well, he's all in. I just don't think we have anything else to trade. Of value to trade. He's not going to get rid of anybody on the roster. So I don't think he has anything left to trade. If he would have moved a couple of the seconds to get this, then you'd still have your first. You could have made another move. Now I don't see it. But I honestly, it makes us better today. And I could be dead tomorrow. So, hey.
We're all said and saying still need another defenseman. Again, like I know you say you think they're confident and comfortable there with the defensive core. Scott Mayfield has been abysmal this season, and Andy Green is showing every bit of his age. I think really if we're thinking next step, sure, maybe I really don't. We wouldn't add anybody down to center. We're not going to add a center. We're not going to add a right wing. And with us adding two guys who are going to play the left wing for us, there's no way in hell I think we're going to add an additional left wing. We're not adding a goaltender. I think the only logical place to think we might be going is defense.
Yeah, you always have to pay a lot for them at the deadline, though. They go for
Think about it. We gave up a second-round pick for 34-year-old Andy Green last year.
He was 36 last year. 37.
I'm sorry, 36-year-old Andy Green last year. Think about that.
And I'm going to go one step further. He was 37 last year.
Okay, he was 37. I'm glad you pulled that up there.
He was old, and we gave a second-round pick for him. I said, we don't have a whole lot of chips left. That's all.
Oh, Brian B. said that was a joke. Maybe I don't know if he was commenting on his, but he was saying go for broke. Okay, that's a joke. I look at it like this, though. Really, I mean, like, hold on a second.
Do you try to move your 2 seconds this year to get a first? If the draft is so bad, to try to get a first next year? I don't know. Maybe.
We got a comment here from Joe F. He says, I was a little pissed about the other day when you didn't read any of the comments. Yeah, he said, I was on a roll torching these punks from the Capitals, the Devils, the Penguins, and Buffalo. Although the Buffalo guy wasn't as much of a weenie as the others, and Grump schooled him good. Yeah, it's odd. Like when we had that those 5 people there on the podcast, we were just trying something a little different. Man, oh man, that was the Islander fans and the fans of the Islanders Never Say Die podcast are out in full, and I loved it. I told them, I said, be ready. I said, our fans are going to come. They're going to be vicious. They're going to be mean, and so they didn't expect it, but they out there rolling. I like the ball jokes. They were all they didn't really expect as much of the hair jokes as they told them there would be, but it was a good time.
I love our fan base. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I love that people feel they can talk shit to us. We can talk shit to them. I think that's great. I really do. I think that's fantastic.
Well, that's the thing too, right? When people are online, they're like, "Oh, I never let you such this, you such that." I'm like, we don't talk shit to us. We'll talk shit right back. It's just called riffing. You know what? I laugh because guess what? If I'm wrong, whatever. I'm wrong. It's freaking hockey. I mean, we're talking about damn sports. I'm like, we're going to shoot the shit. We're going to have a good time in the end. I'm like, I don't wish anybody ill will. Some of these people online and these battles they get in social media, man, oh, man.
I think I need to get Twitter.
Oof.
Don't you think I could handle those people?
It's just so time consuming. It's so time consuming because it's one thing to the next, and it's like you're playing hopscotch around because you make a point and then they go ahead and don't answer it and bring up a different point that's relatively close to maybe scratching the surface of your comment. It really is a lost cause. I try to avoid getting in those arguments because I'll sit there and I'll be consumed by 3 or 4 hours just doing it. I'm like, I can't do that because I'm like, I've done plenty of them, Grump, and it's just like you don't get anywhere, and all it does is waste time.
My responsibility, you're wrong and I'm right. Thank you. Next.
David C. says the Islanders acquire Randy McKay for our 2022 and 2023 first-round picks.
I liked Randy McKay when he played for the Devils. I really did. I liked Randy McKay.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Good one for David.
Scott L. is saying here, Grumpy, the Islanders will win the division if the Caps, Penguins, and Bruins don't make any trades. If they do make trades, the Islanders will not win the division.
I don't think they have as many holes. They didn't have 2 gaping holes like we had.
What? No, we didn't have a gaping hole yet, Grump. I've told you this before. Arthur Staple told us he is a great calming presence, and Lou Lamoriello and Barry Trotz have told us, as well as the Islander cartel, they told us that Leo Komarov solidified that first line, damn it. And until I see otherwise written by them saying that this was the greatest trade that Lou Lamoriello has ever made, could this top the Jean-Gabriel Pageau and Andy Green trade? I'm not even going to entertain the idea. I don't even know where Kyle Palmieri and Zajac are going to fit when you've got a stalwart like Leo Komarov out there on the ice. Let's be honest, Grump.
Well, I told you it was all horseshit and team spin from the minute they started it. You knew it.
People bought into it. That's the craziest thing about it. I'm like, come on, man. It's the same thing.
They're lemmings. Whatever the organization says they believe. No, just you know what? You should always take the contrarian point of view for the most part.
Play devil's advocate.
Why is everyone pumping up Leo Conrad? You want to know why? Because the fan base was ripping the hell out of him on social media, on sites, on podcasts like this, on websites. Even the National Enquirer was trumpeting up how Leo Conrad was bad on the first line. And when you've lost them, you need to go out and do damage control. And that's what they did.
I really thought you meant the National Enquirer. I didn't think you meant the Isles on Isles, Grump. I love the reference.
That's the Islanders National Enquirer. And, but the whole thing is, you knew that as soon as they turn on you, it's like when Walter Cronkite turned against the Vietnam War. That was the end. Or with Watergate, whatever it was, that was the end for Nixon. Okay. And the same thing here. When you get one of those fan-friendly sites not agreeing with what you're saying, they went out and they did damage control big time. But I saw right through it.
Hey, Arthur Staple, we want you to come out and talk about how great the first line's done by not giving up any goals here with Leo Komarov.
Have you ever heard a critical question of Lou Lamoriello or Barry Trotz coming from any of the media guys ever? I mean, the toughest questions are like, how do you like your eggs in the morning? I mean, they were just everything.
Lou Lamoriello, with this trade you've made, do you think you've topped the outstanding performance that you've had last season? And now do you think you're the favorite to win the best general manager in NHL again? That would be a question. I mean, like, obviously we're joking around a little bit, but we've got comments, Grump. I want to start getting back to comments. Okay. Tom White is saying, I would like Lou Lamoriello to re-sign Palmieri after this season. He's going to have to shed some money.
I want to pump the brakes on that. I want to see how he performs with Matt Barzal.
I want to see how he performs. I really think he's a good fit, though, with Matt Barzal. I really think that wrist shot is deadly, and I cannot wait to see what it's going to do with more open ice that Matt Barzal can create. Now, I'm really excited about that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since in the Arthur Staple article, and listen, I admittedly don't know enough about all of Kyle Palmieri's game, but he doesn't strike me as being a heavy physical, ultra physical player who goes into corners. Our boy Barry, when he talked about Leo Komarov, saying how, Lee and Kami, Lollipop, and Matt Martin, they add some heft to that line because those lighter lines are so easy to defend. Well, now you have a guy who's not one of those. You're going to put him on the first line. Does that mean the line's not going to be able to produce Barry? I'm just interested to see what he says next, because that's my follow-up question to Barry. If I was a reporter, I'd go, Barry.
Well, no, come on. It's all coach talk. It's all coach talk. But the thing is, like, you have these people who are supposed to be people of the media that are just saying exactly what he says is exactly true. Again, I want to get off of that topic. I really do, because again, this is a good time period. We're not gonna sink too much of that. Jess, I hope I pronounced that correct. Jess Legan says the Devils trade Zajac and Palmieri to the Islanders for draft picks, Greer and Jost. Wow. Again, like, it wound up. I mean, like, Greer and Jost, just throw them in, whatever. It's not a huge loss, I don't think. Wound up being a first and just essentially a conditional fourth. We have a comment from another YouTube comment from the Wicked 50 Cal saying it's different if Palmieri had just signed an extension. I guess I'd be fine with giving up a first round pick, but I don't see him re-signing, to be honest.
And that's my whole argument right there.
I just think the team is composed, and especially our forwards are composed of older contributors. And when you look at Bridgeport and what they have that can replenish those older bodies, if they ever were to make a different move or trade, or, further on down the road, we just don't have a lot. So you have to be all in now. That's really the thought process I've got with this whole entire thing, Grump.
1 second.
What are you doing, Grump? Oh, sneezing. I was about to say, I'm like, yeah.
I had to sneeze.
You're giving me some weird face. I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't know if you're reading an article or you about to break some more news. What was going on?
I felt that sneeze coming from around the block. So I had to find the mute button. I'm like, hold on. And then you asked me a question just as and I usually have two, and I can feel another one coming. It will.
Frank C says here, how can anybody be against this trade? Two prospects that aren't on anybody's radar and a late first round pick. And this year, and no one can assess talent. Let's go for the cup. I will say that much though. When you talk about it too, like I won't say that this year's draft class is crap. It's the worst one in a million years. It's really tough because a lot of these young men didn't really get a chance to showcase how much they grew from one year to their draft class year. Maybe the assessment of talent is going to be a little more difficult. But Grump, what do you have response-wise to this?
Well, just because you say, you haven't been able to assess talent, well, that means you could have potentially got a real diamond in the rough late in the first round, where normally you wouldn't have that opportunity because some kid might slide through the cracks, so you didn't get to see enough of, or other people you didn't see his game mature. Maybe you could get lucky that way. And I think you're probably going to see that a lot. You're going to see guys who are going to be better players, maybe who are drafted later, just because you haven't had a chance to see them, and maybe they would have moved up the board. I think you could see that.
I think it's a good point. I like how you're playing devil's advocate, Grump, being a contrarian. Tommy B says there, Palmieri, Barzal, Eberle. That's a really nice line. I really think that line is going to feed well off of itself. I really do.
I am really pumped to see that line play tomorrow night.
And then Brian J saying, I'm sorry, go ahead, Grump.
No, I just want to see that line play tomorrow night.
For certain. And again, I can't wait to see them gel. Brian J says, no money assigned Palmieri is right. And Jess Leggins says, I wish they took salary back. Well, they did go ahead and take 50% there, so we do still have $3 million worth of cap to play around with. I'll be interested to see what the Islanders are thinking. You don't make a trade and make a team go ahead and retain salary cap unless you're thinking or entertaining the idea of bringing somebody else into the equation.
Yeah, I think his name is Eves, by the way.
Eves. I don't know. I just see that I see the picture right there. It's not English, so maybe it's yes. I don't know. Yes.
I think it's Eves.
Eves. Fair enough. Eves, go ahead and make sure you correct me in the comments because I'm a butcher of names. And then Patrick V there says, hopefully the Panthers or the Hurricanes there will upset the Lightning. That would open the gate for us.
Yeah, I think now, but here's the thing. Those two teams play styles that give us trouble as well. I just don't see them beating the Lightning. I just think the Lightning are just head and shoulders better than everybody. I hope I'm wrong. Really do.
Hey, Ron Johnson. Huh. I'm just not sure what that means, Brian. They're saying coming from the guy who. Oh, never mind. Okay, I'm reading. There's a whole bunch of comments back and forth there. Frank C. there is saying this is a Lee replacement, and we added center depth. No, I think Travis Zajac's probably going to play left wing there for us, and I'm completely happy and satisfied with that too.
Yep.
Brian P. also says Colorado is loaded.
True. Do they know how to win though? See, that's the thing with them. Do they know how to win yet? What you remember my preseason? Who did I pick? Who did I pick for my 2 Stanley Cup teams? Do you remember?
The New York Islanders and the New York Islanders, right, Grump?
No, it was Colorado and Tampa. I felt that but Colorado has to learn how to win. That's their biggest thing. They have to learn how to win when the going gets.
Well, now that we're taking it back, I actually think you predicted that it was going to be the Detroit Red Wings against the Buffalo Sabres in a close contested 7-game final.
That's why, you wonder why you don't do the comedy on this show? Just your comment right there. That's why you don't do the comedy on the show.
Goodness. Josh Hutchins says, great move there by the Islanders. Another YouTube comment. We are scrolling right along here. Yeah. Ross N says, wise words, Grumpy. Islanders have the favorites for the division, need to go for it. Tampa's a juggernaut, but you still have to go for it.
Yeah. Honestly, where this team is at age-wise, it's not the worst thing to do. The only thing I could hope is they get a couple injuries. Vasilevsky, I don't know, something happened.
Okay, I'll be honest with you. Do you really think injuries are going to derail a team like that? I don't think as much as you do. That team, think about it. They killed it last year when Stamkos was out and Kucherov had, time periods where he was out too. They were missing 2 guys like that in significance.
They beat us. Point was out. Kucherov was out. Stamkos was out, and they still beat us. They're good, man. They're good.
So I just got to some comments to where I started having the technical difficulties with the camera. Scott's saying here, TJ looks better now. LOL, when I looked like the pigeon. And then Michael M says that pigeon has the hair TJ is missing. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Frank K says there, if Palmieri signs here, then that's fine, but Bellows will be gone somehow. Yeah, I wouldn't put it as Bellows isn't a goner just quite yet, just because we got $3 million in cap space. If I'm thinking a guy that might be able to get you we're not going to get a huge piece. $3 million in cap space, even if you have him absorb a certain portion, you're not going to get a huge piece. I think Bellows is still probably on the block. He doesn't have a future here with us. That's quite obvious.
Yeah, I just found another interesting thing in that Athletic article where they said, that Kiefer Bellows played 4 games with them. Did they give up any 5-on-5 goals when he was playing there? Because they seem to make a big deal that they didn't give him any 5-on-5 goals when Kami was playing on that line. I don't know. All I know is he scored 3 goals playing on that line. I'm going to guarantee that they scored more goals than Komarov did. That's for certain. I don't know. Amazing. I don't even know the answer to that question. So.
Frank G saying there, agree with grumpy old man here, but Tampa does also know how to win. Michael M saying Komarov is clearly impossible to move. New Jersey wouldn't take. Well, no, we didn't need Michael. You didn't read the Athletic article. You haven't been listening to the Lou and Barry. No. We needed Leo here. He's the first line left wing. Scrolling right along here, Sal P is saying, just got home from a long day of work and just heard about the trade. Pretty crazy. It shows that we're going for it and didn't have to include Bellows. Lou still has to try to unload some bad contracts in the offseason, but this should make things interesting.
For certain. It makes us a better team now. And I think it separates us from the rest of the Eastern Conference. I really do. Because Pittsburgh and Washington didn't have holes on the first line like we had. And I just think it solidifies all 4 lines. I think it's a good move for today. Not for the future, but for today.
Michael M saying also, preach grumpy, 2 seconds should have been the deal.
Yeah, that's what I would like to do. That's what I want to do.
Tom White says they can be moved this year, possibly if the team is looking for some penalty kill depth and an extra defenseman, talking about second-round picks. And then Tom B saying, LOL, Komarov is easy to move, 1 year, $3 million, and buyout saves 2.5. We don't need to get rid of Leo, ladies and gentlemen. There's a disconnect.
Yeah. Well, at least the one good thing is we won't have to see him play for a while.
Oh,
he'll be first guy off the bench, though. You guarantee that. He'll be the first guy if somebody's injured, he's back in.
Fair enough. Frank G also says here, this is the best chance we've had to win a cup in 40 years. Don't worry about 3 years from now. Yeah. This is the best chance we've had to win a cup here in 40 years, for certain. That being said,
I thought last year was our best chance to win the cup, even more than this year, because I didn't realize Tampa was going to be even as good as they were. I really didn't. And I thought that the hiatus really helped us re-energize our batteries. I thought last year was our chance, but I didn't expect Tampa to be as good as they were. Tampa took that quantum leap step that good teams eventually make. They took it. They did it last year. They didn't do it the year before when they fell on their faces against Columbus in the first round, but they slayed that dragon by scoring that double overtime or triple overtime game, however many overtimes it was. Yeah. That slayed the dragon for them, and they were on their way.
Tommy B saying, I don't expect another addition unless it's a depth defenseman. I don't think it's going to be a depth defenseman. I think it's going to be time to replace or give Andy Green some rest, or, have a guy where it's like, all right, now we could say, when Scott Mayfield has these hideous games, game after game after game, we have a guy that we can rely on. And we already know what we have in Andy Green. We can give him adequate rest. I just am not sure. I really think they're going to go defense there with this. That's the only reason I think they had the Devils retain half the salary.
I disagree. That's fine. I don't think we'd make another move.
Dylan D saying, why are you not talking about the trade? I think as back in the time period, we were talking in and out there. But yeah, it's it's earlier than I thought the Islanders were going to make a deal. I honestly didn't know. I thought it was going to be at least maybe this weekend, if not close to the trade deadline, actual April 12th. But I mean, we're the first team to make that big stab. And again,
Not
I
true.
will give Luke.
Not true. Montreal picked up Stahl last week.
Eric Stahl. What did Montreal have to give up?
I don't know, but not a
It
first.
okay. It wasn't a first. Shit. If
He's
we're talking about Eric Stahl, I mean, Kyle Palmieri has a higher name value and higher value than Eric Stahl. No.
Eric Stahl's a solid veteran, is what Montreal needs, and he scored right out the chute. I expect that from Palmieri tomorrow. I really do. I really do.
Here's a question. Now, with Kyle Palmieri on this line, we both think he's going to play well because I think he benefits and he will benefit from the Matt Barzal style. What do you expect point production-wise here down the stretch for Kyle Palmieri?
So what do we got? 17 games?
I'm pulling up the games. I think it's 17. I'm not sure off the top of my head, though. Don't kill me, Islander fans.
I would say at least 15 points. I expect him to be a point a game.
You're expecting close to a point a game production from Kyle Palmieri.
Yep.
I mean, like if you get that out of the regular season, any type of return in the postseason, I mean, shit, that's a great move.
I expect that line to take off because now, what's the one thing I've been saying would benefit that line forever? I've been saying it. Somebody else who can skate on that line. I mean, remember when Bavillier was on that line? He was a point a game. Barzal was a point a game player when they played together. He was a point a game. And then we went to this system, not so much. Took him off that line. Guys who can skate are really going to benefit playing with Matt Barzal. Period.
Michael M saying Leo Bossy for certain. And then Tom White saying here, I think it was an okay deal. I'm sure they will try somehow to re-sign Palmieri. He's close to home and he may not want to uproot the family and move across the country or to Canada.
Then you're going to have to shed salary somewhere else.
I was about to say, I mean, like, if you want to sign back Palmieri, we've talked about it this offseason. Lou Lamoriello needs to be a financial wizard. I talked about this last offseason, that this offseason he needed to be a financial wizard. I said last offseason too he needed to be a financial wizard. Obviously, Johnny Boychuk there going on long-term injury helped that situation. So, it prevented the exacerbation of the cap situation and the unfortunate situation we're there.
Here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see them move another young piece to keep old guys on the team. That was a serious blunder last year, letting Devon Taves go.
For the price that they let him go for certain. I didn't mind letting Devon Taves go. No issue.
Well,
I have an issue with the price. That's just the difference between you and me. I don't mind. I think that Barry Chotz's system is, as long as you have pieces that are somewhat similar, he brings out the best in a lot of players. I always have an issue when we get screwed over in the price. I don't really care about the move. I care about the value. I feel like when we give up a more valuable piece and we don't get enough back, that pisses me off.
Yeah, how's that trade looking now? Look at how good he is in Colorado. I mean,
the point production is crazy in Colorado. We knew he was going to murder and kill it in Colorado, Devontae, for certain.
The problem is you're getting rid of young building block pieces to keep old aging pieces. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. And then Frank K, they're saying, I would have been pissed if it was Taylor Hall. And we got here Scott Levy also saying, right, Grumpy, the draft was the highlight of the season in years past. I mean, like, for certain, we've seen a complete a complete shift in that mindset. And it's different. It's refreshing. I enjoy it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I used to make a little chart like in December, figuring, okay, how many points could we make? And, when other teams they're mathematically eliminated from moving past us up in the draft. So that's how bad we were.
Time B says, is it time to bring McDavid in next?
He doesn't play enough defense. He'd never make this team.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, man, oh, man. Michael M saying, really not going to play Zajac. He's got 7 goals and 11 assists. That's what Josh Bailey has.
Yeah, I think he's a better overall player than Josh Bailey.
Stop, Grump. Come on.
Josh Bailey gets power play time. When was the last time you scored a power play goal?
I don't know. We need Vinny Smith. Vinny Smith, we need you. He's got the countdown tracker. It's like 129 days. He's got 1 power play goal in the last 129 games.
I never seen a guy score so infrequently and get all those opportunities. He gets wide open shot yesterday. I don't know how he could. I don't know. He didn't even put it on net. He was a foot from the goalie, and he could not put it on net. I'm like, Jesus, Bailey.
And then Damien S. there is saying Tampa's been struggling. And Tommy B's also saying there Tampa could get knocked off. And that's my thing, right? When people are worried about taking a chance because, like, for example, you say, hey, Tampa, they've got a lot going on there. This is the thing. Even though that's the case, I mean, like, anything can happen in the NHL playoffs. Really, anything can happen.
Does anyone want to make bank on that? Really?
What, Nick, do what? I'm sorry.
You're willing to pick somebody to beat Tampa? I'm not.
If I had to, for certain, I would. But I mean, like, again, it's a long time. The trade deadline's not over. We don't know what other pieces have been acquired. I just think it's probably going to be a defenseman there for depth. I mean, David C. saying get Nick Foligno. John R. saying maybe it's a defenseman there for depth.
Yeah. I just don't see them making a move. Here's the thing. I don't want to give up any more futures. How much more futures can you give up?
Tom White saying here, I would think Lou's done bringing in more forwards, possibly a deal to bring in another defenseman. Green and Mayfield can get upgraded, yeah, for certain, or just have more insurance on the back end. Because, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? Down the middle, we have 4 very, very solid forwards. The right wings were very stout. We've obviously addressed there the lack of depth there in the left wing position. We have a whole bunch of forwards that played.
We're not stout at right wing. Bailey plays more right wing, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so we're not stout at right wing.
Oh, goodness gracious.
But with that said, I mean, I just don't see us having the capital to go out and get another defenseman, somebody to upgrade who we already have. And remember, they've been pumping up how great Thomas Hickey played. Right?
Yeah, well, Sebastian Aho too. Yeah, I just don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. It's Mayfield's just been leaving he's been leaving me desiring more this season, to put it nicely here. And Brian P saying Colorado is number 1 in goals and goals against. They're dominating teams. Yeah,
they're good. They're good. Let's see how they play in the playoffs. That's going to be the final stuff. They were real good in the regular season last year. Let's see how they are in the playoffs. But they were my pick to come out of the West. They really were.
John R. saying trade Komarov and Del Cole for picks. I'm just not sure what type of picks you'd be able to get there for Leo or Michael Del Cole. None. I mean, hold on. Leo is a first line left winger, so maybe he's got some value.
Well, the draft doesn't go 12 rounds anymore, so I don't think that's feasible.
Oh, goodness. Scott L. there saying TJ Bridgeport is bare of forwards and undeveloped because of Thompson. Yeah, I mean, like, Brett Thompson did not do a good job with developing forwards.
And poor drafting. I think it goes hand in hand.
Michael O'Donnell says, guys, Pal has 1 more year left on his contract. He's not an unrestricted free agent after the season. Oh, I'm not sure who Pal is.
Maybe Palmieri?
No, yeah, Palmieri. Yeah, he's a rental. His contract expires at the end of this year.
Yeah. Man, he was making nothing either. 2.325 million. Nothing.
Brian P says Hall goes for a 2nd-round pick as a prediction when he's got there.
Well, then you overpaid for Palmieri.
I just don't think Hall. I think Hall's going to be at least the first. At least, I mean, it's just going to be name values what you're paying for to Hall.
Well, he was also league MVP. I mean, and if you only get a 2nd-round pick for him, well, it tells you the market's not what it should have been.
Yep, and completely, Brian P. We are in win now mode, absolutely for certain.
Hey, that's fine. If you want to go for it, go for it.
David C. saying, I would rather given up a 1st-round pick for Frank Kaplan's hair. A luscious lock of Frank Kaplan's hair. I completely got that. Oh, man, oh, man. Again, Tommy B. saying you'd have to trade multiple 1st-round picks for anyone's hair. Hold on. You'd have to trade a 1st-round pick for anyone's hair. Oh, man, we're making ball jokes. Oh, goodness gracious. Here we go. We're going right on. Cool Dad, in a YouTube comment, Cool Dad says there, who centers and who's on the wings for that 3rd line?
It's going to be Pajot, Zajac, and Wallstrom. That's who it's going to be.
Gotcha. And Sal P says, yes, we're old, but I do like that we're going for it. We eventually need Lou to shed some of the bad contracts of these older players, but we do have a great bunch of younger players and guys like Barzal, Wallstrom, Bellows, Pavillier, and Dobson to build around. Exactly.
Okay, but he named every young player that we have is right there. We don't have anyone else but them. That's the problem. We don't have anybody in the pipeline. No one. That is our pipeline, and they're all with the big team.
Frank K says Tom Fitzgerald loved his time with the Islanders. Mr. scored 2 goals on the same penalty kill versus the Penguins in the 1993 playoffs. I bet he wants to help the Islanders.
I don't know that, but I'm glad he did.
And then Scott Levy also chiming off of that saying, I was at the game in 93 versus Pittsburgh. Kasperitis disrupting Mario and Yager disturbing Mario and Yager off their games was great.
I love Darius Kasperitis. He was, man, oh man. He was a real pest on the defensive end. He would give Mario fits, just fits out there. And you tell it unnerved Mario. But the big play was Stevens getting knocked out in early in the first period, I believe it was, in the game 7. That kind of changed the whole tone and tenor of the game. Really did.
And Cool Dad also saying, yep, draft is a toss-up with COVID.
See, I think you get a steal that way. See, I guess I'm just so positive all the time.
Whoa, are you really?
Yeah, all the time. And, if you see somebody who, maybe, hey, they would have rocketed up the charts and, you took a flyer on him because, hey, I liked a little bit what he saw and he would have really jumped up. Maybe you get a steal later on. So that's my spin on it.
Joe Fitzpatrick saying there, you ask why the first. How many teams were in on Palmieri? Rumored to be going to Boston and then the POS there at Toronto. Lou had to act before the deadline.
Yeah, like I said, I'd much rather be proactive than wait until the last minute. I know that's Lou's way is to wait till the last second.
Well, he didn't do that this time.
Well, he didn't do that this time, but he always likes to say, I like to wait. If you have time, use it. Where I'm like, you know what? If you see somebody you want, go get them. So, and I'm happy that that's what he did today.
Jess says that is Merrill an upgrade on defense?
No. I mean, is he a serviceable piece that could fill in? Yeah. I mean, if you don't have to give up too much for him, I'm fine with that. He plays defense. He absolutely does.
Now, you got to remind me, who do you say when you say Merrill? Who's that? John Merrill?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Around for a while.
Gotcha. Joe F. also saying Brandon Montour in that
Montour and Josh Manson. I don't know. I don't see us making another move. I just don't. I think they're happy with the team. They're happy with Hickey as their number 7 defenseman. I just think I don't see us making another move. Could be wrong.
And then the Cool Dad says Zajac and Bellows there for Hoffman. I don't think we'd move Zajac. I think he fits exactly what this team wants to do and exactly what Barry likes out there on the ice. He's going to commit to their defense too.
Yeah, we talked earlier in the year when Hoffman was available in the free agency. Does he play enough defense? And I don't think he does. He has not been a fit for St. Louis at all. So, I mean, I guess I'd rather have Palmieri than Hoffman. I'm going to have to start looking at Palmieri more often.
You want to hear something funny? I totally forgot about this. David C says Tommy Baffy is shaving Palmieri as he listens to this podcast. I forgot, right? Palmieri's got all this facial hair, right? That does not fly in Lou Lamoriello, so he's gonna have to shave the beard.
Yeah. Well,
you forget about things like that, right? Because I mean, like it's just something you don't really notice. But man, oh man, yeah, it's I'm sure he won't be too thrilled about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grump, what are you doing? You're not saying anything. Anyway,
I don't need. He's shaving. I understand that they got to shave their hair.
David Z saying, "Uncle Lou, I want to kiss you." Gotcha. And you to the grumpy old man, I want to kiss you. Let's go Islanders. Scott L there saying, I enjoyed the podcast the other day because we got perspective on other teams and the fan feel there about certain players on their teams. Brian P there saying, don't worry, Grumpa TJ, I got your guys' backs.
There you go. Thank you.
John P there saying Zajac and Palmieri currently coming from a lousy team. They both move into a top 10 stat-wise for the Islanders on their current roster.
Yeah. I expect big things from Palmieri. I do. I'm looking for big things. I want that first line to take off now.
Yep. Joseph M. They're saying as good of a trade as we were going to get. Great job by Lou.
We'll see. I'm interested to see what some of the other guys who are going to be moved what they get.
Dave is also saying, Grumpy old man, you can't say anything bad about this trade.
I haven't said anything bad about the trade.
Just that you think it's a little bit overpaid. That's all.
Right. That's all. I don't like to trade first-round picks for rentals.
Tom B saying, can confirm the Islanders were close to a trade for Hall when this deal came to them.
Huh. Well, I got to say I'm probably more happy with this than Hall. I don't think Hall fit with what we do. And Zajac, even at his advanced age, solidifies that third line. He does. I mean, if I'm going to give a first round pick for Taylor Hall or a first round pick and, some trash for two guys, I'd rather do that.
Tom B's also saying there, the rumor was that the Islanders were asked there for first and Bellows, and they determined on the Devils trade instead.
Yeah, for a rental. I mean, maybe Bellows was the deal breaker for them. Who knows? Let's see what Buffalo gets for Hall. I'm really interested to see what they get as it gets closer to the deadline.
Darren Z wants to know, what are they going to do with Uncle Leo? Well, just going to keep rolling him out there on the first line, right? He's done a really good job of calming influence.
He could sit in the press box and play pinochle with Lou.
And make funny jokes. Grump, you're going to have to help me there.
Eve. It's Eve Salt, like Eve Saint-Laurent. I told you what his name was. You just keep on saying it wrong.
Eves.
Eve. It's Eve Saint-Laurent.
I was about to say yes, Saint Laurent. So it's Eve. Okay.
Like I said, you butchered. Here's the thing. I let you butcher people's names for a while, but you just keep on just doing it. I have to correct you. And he's right. It's like Eve Saint. That's what it is. It's, silent S.
Oh, goodness gracious. And then Cliff Neal there saying Palmieri is a righty. Where does he fit? Pajot or Nelson to move to wing? Maybe why Zajac was included.
He could play either side.
Yeah. Again, I think he'll fit well, hopefully, in there in the left wing position there. Again, I'm really interested and looking forward to him. Grump, you seem like you're trying to wrap things up. Do you need to go anywhere?
No, I don't need to go anywhere.
Honestly, you don't act like this usually, Grump. You usually just talk.
Well, I'm happy about today. I just, we had a big win. We got some new players on the team. I can't wait for tomorrow night, honestly. I do want to see. Now, it's not optimal where Palmieri is going to be taking a lot of those passes on his backhand, but I still think it's going to work out. So
I didn't know so you're feeling serendipitous about this trade to where now you're just kind of liking this. You just want to sit down and just go, whoa.
Why are you using big words like that? You don't need to use words like
that. Christopher C. saying, win the division. We've got home ice advantage there throughout the playoffs. And again, this is, the Coliseum. How crazy would that be too, right? You win the Stanley Cup there.
Who's Christopher standing next to? Is that like a Disney princess or something?
I don't know, Grumpy. Anyway.
He's right. We win division. I don't know if we have. I don't know how that works. I don't know what the other division, Tampa Bay's division, how many points they have. I mean, we have 52 points or 54. I don't know how many points those teams have.
Tommy B is taking a strong position, saying, "I understand this is a great day. We're in it to win it, and no more selling off. We add to win. Enjoy it. Been 25 years in the coming."
More than 25 years.
And Greg Frost there saying, time to trade Mayfield. No, I don't think they're not going to do anything to disrupt like the current defensive core they've got. Absolutely not. Even if they try to pick up a depth defenseman, no way Mayfield's leaving. I
will say, if you want to protect Letty in the offseason, I would trade Mayfield rather than expose him in the expansion draft. I would definitely do that. Not now, but at the end of the season.
So you can get value.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha. And then Cool Dad also says Komarov is going back to Dynamo Moscow anyways.
That's right. Moscow, the Red Army team, whatever. Commie.
Brian P. saying here, this team that we have now is more talented than last year's team.
Agreed.
And think about it, right? Off of last year's team, we lost Anders Lee. He's no longer in the lineup. And Derek Brassard, essentially.
No loss. Anders Lee was no loss at all. Absolutely no loss at all. The play of Leo Komarov and Matt Martin filling his spot, and they did okay. I mean, hey, right? I mean, they don't score, but serviceable enough. Just shows you how we don't need average Anders Lee. Sub-average, below average.
Go stop.
Hey, that's right from the GM's mouth. That's right from the coach's mouth. Hey, these guys, they bring stuff. Look at how good the line is doing without average on there.
Brian P. saying Stahl went for a 3rd and 5th, I think. Yeah, Stahl wasn't a big trade. This is the first big trade of the trade deadline, Grump. And I love that Lou Lamoriello was a pioneer on this year's trade deadline. He was a trailblazer, Grump.
All right. That's fine. I just want to see what everybody. I'm going to hold on if we overpaid just to wait and see what other teams get for the guys they're trading. That's all.
I get it. I think past performance is going to show that too, that it's going to be pretty congruent. Maybe we actually got a little bit of a steal or deal. We'll see there. Darren Z saying here, 2 guys that fit right into our style of play.
And that's key. That's where I didn't think Hall really fit in. I don't think he plays enough defense for our liking, where Palmieri will come back and back check. I don't think Hall's that guy. But, hey, we said the same thing about Jordan Everly, and he does it. So.
And David D also saying we need a 3rd pairing defenseman to give Andy Green some rest, plus in case anybody gets hurt. I was about to say, could you imagine if a defenseman gets hurt? Would you feel comfortable with Thomas Hickey or Sebastian Aho playing extended time?
Were you asking me a question if I'm happy with Thomas Hickey ever playing on this team? You know the answer to that. No.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He's worse than having Bailey out there on the ice. Not by much. Bailey sucks, but
Tommy B says, and Ken Danico to the Islanders.
And Danico, rough and tough physical player for the Devils for who knows how long. Many, many, many years.
Here's an interesting thought.
If you think Mr. Islander, Ken Danico is Mr. Devil.
Scott Levy wants to know, does Wahlstrom stay on the power play in that Ovechkin spot, or does Palmieri take that spot?
I think you have to keep Wahlstrom in that spot, and maybe you find a way to you know what? Here's a novel approach. How about we take that piece of shit Josh Bailey off the power play? If you can't score more than 1 goal in 130 some odd games on the power play, let's give somebody else a shot. Somebody who's not afraid to shoot the puck. I want guys who are going to shoot the puck.
You know what would make you happy? Mikey Ryan there from again, we love Mikey. He had, I don't know who it was there on a guest on his podcast, and they were talking about how Josh Bailey was an elite winger. And I was just like, as soon as I saw that, I could think back to our conversation we had at the beginning of the year. And I'm just like, all I could picture was your face just looking flabbergasted.
I love Mikey, but he's wrong.
Mr. Ryan, as you call him so endearingly.
Yes.
Jimmy Walsh there is saying, don't forget we have the expansion draft this year. So this gives Lou bodies to protect our good players.
Well, not if they're they only have so many guys they can protect. So it doesn't matter. And like I said, I'm on record saying I would rather protect all the young guys and expose the older guys. Let them take somebody. And I don't even know if free agents are in that mix, honestly. But I want to expose the guys who make money. Even if you might lose one of them, you're only going to lose one guy. And hopefully they pick somebody who makes, like Josh Bailey, who makes $5 million a year and doesn't produce much. Those are the type of guys you'd like to lose. I would.
Brian P. says, according to the Islanders faithful, we might be able to get Austin Matthews for Komarov. Obviously a joke there.
Doubtful.
And then David D. saying here, trade a 3rd rounder in Sebastian Aho for a defenseman.
Okay.
Well, there you go, right?
I don't want to give up draft picks. I just don't want to. You have so many young defensemen. If you can move a couple of those young defensemen for somebody, maybe somebody sees something in Aho and one of the other guys, even Bodie Wild, if you have to get yourself somebody who can, play bottom pairing minutes or second pairing minutes in a pinch. I'm all for that. But I'd rather deal from strength, not weakness.
Jamie Walsh also wants to know, who does a Kraken take? We have to protect players. Is Zajac for the expansion?
He's unrestricted.
No. Yeah.
If you're unrestricted, you're not part of. Yeah.
You're not part of that group there. Absolutely not. Gotcha. Oh, Willie Carr there says Wallstrom was bumped to the taxi squad.
It has to be a joke.
No. They have to do it to like financially maneuver. So again, like he's not going to be on the taxi squad, obviously.
Why not send Komarov to the taxi squad? He makes more money. Why not dump him down there? That piece of garbage. Why do you have to put a guy who makes no money on the taxi?
It was a joke. I think it's a joke, Crump. Jesus.
Okay, well, I didn't know. You just said that you had to do it for cash reasons. That's what you said.
I said maybe no, Crump. I'm just saying here. Reading the comments, I'm sure they didn't go ahead and bump it down. The taxi squad's a fluid squad. Grump, you're getting testy. We're getting late. We're like at 2 hours and 20 minutes there. Oh man. Vess says, thanks, Grumpy.
It's Eves, not you.
He's sorry.
Keep on doing it. We just went through a 5-minute soliloquy. I'm trying to get you to understand how to pronounce a name, and you still butcher it right the next time out of the chute. It's Eve.
You know, if they did not do a good job of pronouncing the players' names, I would really struggle with NHL players' names, especially those foreign names. I'd really struggle there with them.
I struggle with English names too.
Oh, goodness gracious. Thanks, Trump. Jeff S. there says, Zajac is the extra center that can take faceoffs. Again, definitely helps there when you're talking about even you're pinning your defensive zone. You know, let's say Jean-Guy Pajot gets kicked there from the dot. I mean, Zajac obviously is experienced there taking the dot.
I mean, the one thing that hurts, I don't know if Palmieri can take faceoffs. Matt Barzal's still not good on faceoffs. It never bothered me when Komarov was taking a faceoff because that's probably the weakest part of Matt Barzal's game.
Yes.
It's him doing the faceoffs. And I hope someone else can take them. You don't want to lose every faceoff in the offensive zone and the defensive zone for that matter. But Zajac will help. He's a solid citizen. He's perfect third-line player for us. No problem with that at all.
And Jeff S. there says Palmieri is going to be great there on the power plays. And Darren Z says, don't underestimate Zajac's ability to provide offense.
Well, you know what? If he can help re-solidify that third line with Pajot and Wallstrom, that's just like the cherry on the top.
And Ethan J. says, grumpy old man. We don't know if this is a great trade, but we also don't know if this is just a rental.
Well, I have to assume that it's a rental just looking at our cap situation. I think we'd have to do some type of cap gymnastics. Remember, it's not like the NFL salary cap where you can, split money up. You do the average. It's just like the average of the deals. It's not the actual money or what's getting shifted here or count cap this year, that next year. It's just they take the total value of the deal, $100 million divided by 5, $20 million a year. That's the way they do it. So that's what makes it a little bit more difficult.
Christopher C. says, that's my niece, Grumpy.
Well, very pretty young lady. Like I said, I thought she was a Disney princess. So,
oh, goodness gracious. George P. says, why didn't they trade Bailey instead of a first-round pick? The answer is the Devils realized the first is more valuable. I mean, they weren't going to trade Josh Bailey. Come on now. Even though we give him some hate and some flack, come on now. You don't want to move a guy like Josh Bailey at the trade deadline. Not when he's a valuable member there to the team. You don't have any replacement or any depth on your team and organization when it comes to right wingers besides what you have on the NHL lineup.
Okay, as much as I bag on Josh Bailey, they love him. They love him. I bet you it's going to pain them to expose him at the expansion draft. It's going to pain them. But they have to figure he's not getting picked. Who would pick him? More to us than anywhere else.
Oh, goodness gracious. Christopher C. also said, Grumpy, you say we don't need Lee. Who's going to be our captain then?
You know what? Why not give it to like every other team does? They give it to the best player on the team.
Josh Bailey?
No. The best player on the team, not the worst. Why not give it to him? They have enough other guys in the room who are solid citizens and assistant captains. Josh Bailey being one of them. Brock Nelson being one of them. Cal Clutterbuck. Casey Zizekas, Matt Martin. We're filled with leadership on that team. You know what? Maybe if you give the C to Matt Barzal, everyone likes to rip him. Well, he's undisciplined with his play. Well, you know something? Maybe you give him the C, and he says, you know what? I'm going to have to start toning down some of those things I do because I'm in a more responsible position. You know, that's not to be overlooked.
Key's saying it's not a joke. I think he's talking about Oliver Wahlstrom being sent there to the taxi squad. No, I can't be.
You know what? You want me to lose my mind? Have tomorrow night and have Komarov on the third line and Oliver Wahlstrom sitting on the bench.
Holy shit! There's no way. I don't know.
Yeah, you want somebody over just do shit like that?
I don't think he's been moved. Has he been moved? I don't think he's moved. It doesn't matter. The taxi squad, it gets moved. It's fluid. It's like you can never tell who's there and who's not there. They change it by the minute. I don't take too much into it. Tomorrow, if I see Oliver Wahlstrom not in the lineup, then I will be a little angry and perturbed there. Needless to say, Grump.
You know, the fact that we even consider that just tells me that that's how we know Lou Lamoriello thinks. Young guys aren't worth anything. You know, unless you're in your 30s, I don't want anything to know with you about you. Sorry.
Cool Dad also says maybe someone will take a lad in the extension. LOL. Tom B saying he's getting grumpy when I mentioned maybe Oliver Wahlstrom was going to be there, sent to the taxi squad. And then Darren Z says, why is Mr. Zizekas always overlooked? I take 3 of them on my team.
It's because he's a fourth line center. That's why he's overlooked. He's a fourth line center. And that's what he is. He's a good fourth line center, but he's a fourth line center.
He's a really good fourth line center. Grump, I'm gonna need you to pronounce this one more time for me.
Yves Saint-Laurent.
Yves Saint-Laurent. It's a French name. Gotcha.
Yeah. Well,
I'm uncultured. What can I say? It's a work in progress.
He played for the. Don't worry. Next.
Jesus Christ, Grump! What are you?
I can't go through it again with you.
Darren Z says, "Grumpy old man, will you be there when number 12 gets hoisted into the rafters?"
You know what? I'm not a drinker, but I'm going to guarantee I'll be shit-faced if that ever happens.
That or dead. Oh, my God. You might have rolled over and croaked over and died if he gets put in the rafters. I know you would.
What are his accomplishments? He played 900 games. I mean, that's your accomplishment?
I'm just saying, if he wins a few cups, there could be an argument for him.
Oh, please.
He helped lead
He
us.
has to be more than just be a sidecar to get your jersey in the rafters. I'm sorry.
He helped lead us from this very, very dark and dreary time period, and he brought the Islanders to greatness and helped them solidify their team. Moving right along here, last few comments, Grump. We're at about 2.5 hours. It's been a fun one today because obviously the trade.
I can't wait to read up on it as soon as we get off the podcast. I'm excited to do that.
And Brian P says, Grump, I'll explode if Komarov is playing over Wallstrom.
Yeah, same thing here, right? I mean, I'm just kind of, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. It's better for me to hold my tongue just in case they don't do something stupid like that. But you know what? Would it surprise me? No.
I can't even pronounce the name. I'm going to have to go home. I've got homework.
Yves Saint-Laurent, he's a fashion designer. Andre Saint-Laurent used to be a player for the Islanders in the early years.
Fair enough. Grump, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Huge Islanders news on the podcast live today. Unbelievable. We're going to have the ability, hopefully, of Saturday, where we can accept calls here. We can have people call in. I'm excited about it. We've got the technology. We've got the piece of equipment we need.
You might have to have somebody be a call screener for you. I think it's going to be too difficult for you to do yourself, honestly.
I just need everybody to call in. No, what happens is my phone will ring. So I've got a fake telephone number set up there, and it will ring there, not on my actual telephone number, but a different telephone number. So I can go ahead and accept the call when we're ready to do it, and I just click a button, and it's really simple for me to do, and we'll be able to bring it in.
You know how other shows do it? They talk to the person, hey, what's your name? Hey, I'm Johnny from Blow Joe in the Alamo.
And they make sure they're not crazy and going like, hey, screw you guys, or anything crazy like that. Yeah, I know that's what they do.
What do you want to talk about? And they say, they'll say, I want to, play Twister or whatever. Here's Joe Blow from the Alamo is talking about Twister. What do you have to, that's how you have to do it, something like that. I just think it's going to be real. It's going to be more difficult than you think. That's all.
I don't know. It's going to be a learning experience, needless to say.
And what's going to This is what's going to happen. You're going to get a call. Yes, hello. Hi, this is Kelly from something.
This is Kelly from Cardholder Services.
That's it. That's right. Kelly from Cardholder Services, whatever the name is, from Cardholder Services. And you're going to be taking a bunch of those calls. So.
No. Oh, goodness. Tommy B says, wait until Bailey calls in.
He'll call in, but it'll be like a real meek. He'll be, what do you think I could do better as a player?
Stop. Oh, my God. On that note, Grump, 2 hours and 30 minutes.
I went near the net once, and I come out with a rash. I like to stay near the boards.
Oh, goodness.
Grumpy old man.
Grump, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap things up?
No, I just want to say thanks to everybody for listening. And these are, seriously, this is a good get excited, Islander fans. I mean, I think we're going to see a jump in our performance starting tomorrow night. I can only hope. And I really think right now we're the favorites to win division.
You know, on this little tool, I have like little things I could slam in to play like automatic pre-recorded items where it said, get excited, Islander fans. Oh, my God. You don't say that very often. I don't think you're a trained SEAL. I can't go ahead and get you to pre-record anything. So I'll just have to snippet items that I find interesting here from the podcast and live stream.
You can absolutely get me to pre-record things like grinder. See, something like that.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Grinder.
We've got a lot we're working on. The shirts are in process. Paige is working on the designs. She's done an excellent job on the first one. I just had to make the design into the graphics, and it's going to take me a bit. But we've got some designs. We've got the item to take live stream calls. As soon as I go ahead and get the correct plug-in for my mic, it should work seamlessly. No issues, but I'm sure there will be, but hopefully no issues. And we'll go ahead and have it. We're hopefully on Saturday after the Islanders game. It's Saturday, right, Grump, or is it Sunday they play?
I think we play Sunday. I think we play Thursday, Friday, and Sunday.
I'm pulling it up here for us. We play Sunday. Yep, Sunday. So it's going to be this Sunday. Another live stream.
Sunday night podcast. I hate them.
A Sunday night live stream.
What time is the Sunday game?
7:00 Eastern Standard Time. So I need you to have a cup of Joe or an energy drink. I don't know what you're going to need, grumpy old man.
But here's the thing. Why don't we do it Saturday night? I've
already got something pre-planned Saturday night, Grump.
Okay.
We always do after the game. We always do these items after the game. What's your problem? Now you don't want to do them after the game?
No, I'd much rather do a Saturday night so we could do the call-in thing. That's what I'd want to do. Okay,
how about this? If people...
So you're going to review 3 games on Sunday? 3 games? 3?
We're just going to be in such a euphoric state after Kyle Palmieri kills it. And Zajac kill it. So that's what we're going to be talking about, I'm sure. I'll put out a poll. We'll ask whether it's better for Saturday or Sunday. I'm thinking Sunday, but I don't know. Maybe. I don't know, Grump. Okay. You don't want to have to cover too much there on the next Wednesday podcast because we'll have a guest. Tommy Baff will be on the show. Look, what is that face over, Grump?
Nothing. Straighten him out.
Straighten him out. Oh, goodness gracious. We're looking forward to it. I know Grump is too. Grump, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap things up here today?
I want to say thanks to everybody, of course, for listening, and we love doing this. So, thank you.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks so much. Grump and I are just 2 Islander fans. Love talking about the sport. Love talking about the game. Love talking about our favorite team. Thank you so much, guys, there for interacting there with us, and we love being able to speak and respond there to people who listen to the podcast and the live stream on a consistent basis. Grumpy Old Man and I are very, very grateful and thankful for you guys, definitely. And thank you again, and thank you, Grumpy.
My pleasure.